And welcome back.
Welcome, everybody.
Welcome to the thing that this whole read through has been building to for the last 4 months, 5 months, however long it's freaking
Four
been.
or 5 months, yeah.
The end of Wano. The peak.
The peak. Someone's peak.
Someone's peak. I think I don't know, maybe Chopper's. I love that guy.
Chopper's peak.
Chopper's peak. That was last time. This section is crazy. This
It's
section is
fucking
dense, it's
nuts.
unbelievable, it's beautifully animated in a lot of places. The music, the everything, the plot, the way that like all of the little threads that Oda has built throughout this extremely long arc
hmm
is so good. The
I mean,
minor
just
antagonists, the major antagonists, the fights, the story, the crazy batshit everything at the end. Ugh.
it is this is absolutely the peak of One Piece. I know that Whole Cake is my favorite arc, but I think Wano is objectively the best arc that Oda has ever written.
I'm not sure how I feel yet, because I've had a lot more time with Water 7 and Whole Cake than
Yeah.
I have with Wano. So I don't know if I'm comfortable putting Wano above them yet. I need a little more time with Wano, even though I've had, what is this, the sixth week now of sitting in Wano?
Six. Yeah, right.
But I've had more than that to sit on Enies Lobby or
Right.
Whole Cake Island. So I think I need a little more time before I can blanket state that this is my favorite arc. Because I don't think that it is.
That's fair.
I just don't think that I feel that way. And I don't really know
hmm
what it is about it. Maybe it's the fact that it takes, like, it's such a slow burn at the start.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Or maybe it's just that I'm obsessed with the inter-crew,
hmm
like, drama in Water 7 and Whole Cake that I think is so fascinating.
Yeah.
But this section is amazing, and
It
for
is,
all the
yeah, no,
reasons
not to
that you watching know why it's amazing,
you.
right?
We
Like,
all know why this shit
there's not a
rules.
lot of, it's not an open, it's like an open secret, the Gear
And
5 thing, right? Like,
we're
all of
still
this is
gonna
so
talk
crazy.
about it for
We
the
are going to
next
talk
like
about it
2 to 3 hours.
for the next 2 to 3 hours. So let's just like get
Yeah,
started,
let's
right?
just jump into it.
Let's just jump into it.
We
There's
got a
so
lot
much
to
shit to
talk
get
about.
through. I was looking through this a little bit earlier, so I know that there's some stuff here at the beginning that I don't think is really worth talking about because we sort of start, I think, most importantly with Yamato backstory
Yeah, I think
or
that this
more
is probably
Yamato
where.
backstory. I guess there was some
Yeah.
before with Ace, but this is
hmm
backer story.
Yes.
I love this.
Me too.
I really love Yamato. I think he
hmm
might be my favorite non-Straw Hat character. I
Wow.
think I
I
feel
mean,
fairly comfortable saying that, which is crazy because I've had so much time with so many characters like Trafalgar Law, for example. Because
yeah.
I've been trying to think. This was something I was thinking about yesterday, where I was like, is Law my favorite or not? Because I feel like he doesn't like elicit these feelings for me, but also like who do I like more than Law? You know?
Yeah.
But I think I feel comfortable saying that Yamato might be my favorite non-Straw Hat, and that I like him
hmm
more than at least a couple of the Straw Hats. Not all of them, obviously, because
No,
Luffy is
not all of them.
unbeatable. But I
Yeah,
don't.
no,
But
Yamato
I
is
adore
absolutely
Yamato.
the goat.
I think Yamato is the goat. I think that everything he does in this section is really cool. I love this backstory.
I
And I think it really comes from part of what makes me like this backstory more than I did when I first initially read it, which I did like it when I read it initially,
mhm.
is the rest. Like there's still more to Kaido after this in this arc,
Right, you
and I
learn more
think
about Kaido.
getting the whole picture of Kaido, I think, makes this backstory for Yamato more interesting
hmm
because so much of Kaido, and I'm not going to pretend like I completely reached this conclusion on my own, but so much of Kaido is like not being able to reach this ideal, this dream, this joy boy that he wants to be,
Exactly,
right? So much
exactly.
of it is him like going in this roundabout way of trying to get there and working with Orochi and basically becoming like the opposite of what he's everything he strived to be.
hmm
And I think that's what makes Yamato so interesting is that Yamato is someone that Kaido wants to follow in his footsteps. He
Yeah.
wants like Yamato to be the this spitting image, this perfect picture of Kaido's legacy.
hmm
But Kaido doesn't have a legacy.
He has no
He has
legacy.
no. The closest thing Kaido has to a legacy is a ruined Wano.
Right.
And
And I
so
mean, like he
instead,
himself says, the victors need no epithet, and he has
exactly.
always been the victor,
Yeah.
but not in a way that is true to who he is as a person. And so he is this hollow version of what he thinks he should be. And
Ex-
so Yamato latches on to
to
not
Kozuki Oden,
Kaido,
the
but to
loser,
Odin.
the legend.
The this I mean, we talked at length about Odin in one of the previous parts about this almost impossible force of a man who was Odin. And Kaido sees his son have like idolize this man who I think Kaido in some way did idolize as well.
Yeah.
And so like respects respects uh Yamato in the same way that he respected Odin by putting him through these trials and and what am I trying to say?
I like sort of I don't know, I think I kind of know where you're going. Is like
Yeah, yeah,
putting Yamato and Odin through these trials in a way that ends up like forging them into the thing that he could never be.
yes, yeah, that's
Like
exactly what I was trying to
he
say.
is, and he does this with Luffy inadvertently as well, of
Mm-hmm.
like turning these other people into these legends who died and lived as they were
Mm-hmm.
because he is incapable of doing it. He ends up making
Right.
other people
He,
into
he
that.
he he has become this like almost I wanted to say liberator, but not liberator, but like he in the way that he has become so detached from what he thinks of the like what he his ideal of the world, of his ideal of himself. He has become the thing that all these other people who do attain his ideal have to fight against
Exactly.
because he has become this oppressive force despite wanting to be the joy boy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's
and
just
the way that gets sort of like exemplified with the way the samurai treat Yamato in this
right.
dungeon of
Mm-hmm.
like a samurai does not feel hunger, giving Yamato their food,
Mm-hmm.
and then like fully believing in who Yamato wants to be and who he can
Right.
become, and like being willing to throw their lives away against Kaido
For for Kaido's son.
is just it's so interesting and so cool. And the
Mm-hmm.
way that like he bonds with these samurai reading Odin's journal and they're like teaching him how to read.
Yeah, he doesn't know
It's
how to
just
read.
yeah, I want to read this journal, but the words are too hard for me. And it's just
Oh,
it's so
dude,
cute. I
baby
love
Yamato is
him.
so adorable.
He's so
Oh my
cute. He's
god.
so adorable. I love him. And
Also, I think that I think that Yamato may have the coolest epithet at at the youngest age. Ogre Princess is a hard ass epithet.
yeah, it's pretty good. And I just I love I love this whole interaction, this whole like clash between Yamato and Kaido
Yeah,
of the like after we flash to this story and Kaido is like, you are nothing, there's no one that cares about you. And Yamato says,
yeah,
I am not alone. There are people who believe in me, people who accept me. Why do you steal my freedom? Why do you steal Wano's freedom?
mm,
Ugh. And it's sort of once again tying back to this idea that I brought up in whatever part of Wano it was, the shackling and freeing will,
uh-huh,
in that Kaido, in his attempt to become an embodiment of free will, has become an embodiment of shackling will.
yeah,
And he's tried to enact that upon his own son,
mm-hmm,
and sort of in his way of shackling Yamato, effectively trying to make him into someone who follows in Kaido's footsteps by being this shackled being.
mm-hmm.
But Yamato chases the dream that Kaido only dreams that he could
Right.
dream.
Is
And I
carrying
think
on
it's awesome.
Odin's will, not Kaido's, and so can persevere through the torment that Kaido puts him through.
Yeah. So long story short, I love Yamato.
Yeah, long story short, Yamato the goat.
Yamato does some really cool stuff in the later of this
Cannot
arc.
believe that Oda didn't let us have Yamato on the crew
I'll
yet.
get back
And
to
I
it.
do
I'll get
say
back to it.
yet.
I say yet
I say
too.
yet.
I'm a believer. I'm a believer in Yamato. But I'll get back to that later when we get to it in like 30 chapters or some shit. Because I have some thoughts about the 10th Straw Hat or the 11th
Yeah.
Straw Hat, depending on how you want to count it.
Hmm.
Because I've been doing some thinking on that. And Kobe might finally not be my top choice, thanks to Yamato. And I still can't believe Kobe was even a choice to begin with for me. And then we move into Momo sort of taking
Momo's
his first steps towards actualizing
yes.
as this dragon with
So
Luffy guiding him.
you have been a pretty
A
loud
staunch Momo hater. I have been prior to
Momo
this
hater.
section.
How do you feel about Momo now?
Momo is so wonderful. All like
Yeah.
once you reach the end of it, Yamato, like not Yamato, Momo is like it all makes sense once you get to the end.
It all came
It
together.
took a lot to
A
get there.
long
It took a
time.
long time for Momo to get here, but when Momo gets here, he really, really gets here. You
He
know,
really does.
it took a ton, and it took a lot of Luffy, and it took some of Yamato
Hmm.
pushing this kid
Forging
to
him.
wake up. You know,
Yeah.
and it's like, and when you look back on, I guess we're gonna sort of get into Momo now, and then not talk as much about him later.
Yeah.
Um, when you look back on shit like Punk Hazard
Hmm.
and Zoe and Dressrosa, although he wasn't around for very much of Dressrosa, and you're thinking about like this kid watched his parents die in front of him approximately 2 months ago.
Yeah.
You know,
It really
it,
recontextualizes a lot of.
and that like he went to Punk Hazard to try and help some kids in
Hmm.
spite of that is insane to
Yeah.
me. And the way that
He
he
was also grown up in Wano and had no like
no knowledge of the
knowledge of the
outside world
outside
basically.
world until he was thrust forward in time after watching both of his parents die.
Yeah.
Except maybe not his mom. I still don't think that she's dead,
I'm
but
not sure if I think
he
she's
thinks she
alive.
is.
I think she's probably dead, but I'm not 100% convinced that she's dead, but I'm not convinced that she's alive.
But regardless,
Regardless, Momo really gets there, man. And
yeah,
I
he
love
does.
seeing him get there. I love how much like it takes him so much to believe in himself. And that's
Yeah,
the thing that he's missing for so
exactly.
much of this section. And
And
that's what I
That's
love
what Luffy has been trying to get him to do
the
the
whole
whole
time.
time.
And it's just
Since learning who Momo is in Zoe, he's immediately switched from this is a shitty little kid to I need to help this shitty little
I need to
kid.
help this shitty little kid. I need to wake this stupid brat up.
Hmm.
And I just love the way that Luffy and Yamato are able to bring this out of Momo
Hmm.
in a almost in a way of like when he was a baby and didn't know anything, watching Oden and Roger, and now here they are again 20 years later, thrust 20 years into the future to see Oden and Roger in a way
Right.
here to inspire Kozuki
Momo.
Momonosuke, and I love it.
It really is beautifully poetic.
It's beautiful. It's the slow burn is crazy on Momo. It took a while. I still think part of it is Oda thinking it would be funny to make the 8-year-old pervy. That's still
Yes.
his fault. And I think I don't know, you can rationalize it slightly in the during the Odin backstory. There's the whole thing about how like Odin was at the brothels when he was already 8 years old or something. So maybe he's just
Hmm.
taking after his father. That doesn't mean that I like it, Oda.
Yeah. No, you don't have to like it.
You know, and I mean,
That doesn't make it good.
it's the same thing that goes on with Sanji. It's the same thing that goes on with a favorite of mine, Xenoblade Chronicles 2. And you know what? If I can look past Xenoblade Chronicles 2 being a 4 out of 10 sometimes, I can look past Momo and Sanji being 4 out of 10 sometimes because
Let's
when they get there,
when
they
they
get
get
there.
there,
When they get there, they get there.
we
They
got some
really get there.
I know we got some talking
I
about
think we both have
Sanji.
a lot to talk about with Sanji. Uh and then we move
But I mean,
into the next volume, 102.
We see.
Which is mostly like the start of this volume is a lot of more of Momo like
Oh, I
actualizing and
I
struggling
love I
against.
love this stuff with Momo though. Like
It's really good.
Luffy guiding him through this. He just says, "Momo, bite him."
Bite
Momo's like,
him.
huh? Bite him.
Bite him. And then
He,
he
he
does.
does.
What are
And
you
Momo's
doing,
like, "Why did
boy?
I do that?"
Why
And
did
then
I
Luffy
do
just goes,
that?
"You just bit Emperor of the Sea.
Yeah.
What
You
else could you possibly be afraid
of
of?"
like what could go wrong from here? You got it. Yeah, that's
Just
the
like that,
spirit, Momo. It's so good.
and it's such a Luffy way of teaching, and
Exactly.
it's so beautiful
I
of just
yeah.
Luffy teaching Momo in the same way that I guess Luffy was taught and has learned through just getting thrown into the woods, basically, like what Garp did to
Yeah,
him.
what Garp did to him. I to me, I kind of see it in like he is sort of passing on the lessons that he learned from Vivi, but instead of
Yeah,
teaching them in the nice way that Vivi
in the
did,
nice
he's
way that
teaching them
Vivi
in the
did,
Garp way.
in the way that Garp would have
He's
taught him.
teaching them
Yeah,
like a monkey D person does, you know? You throw him to
exactly,
the wolves and
exactly.
you say, "You got it.
So bite the dragon.
Bite the dragon, Momo." And I just Luffy is so Luffy, you know?
Yeah.
And he gets even more Luffy as this section goes on. Yeah, is there a single thing left in the world for you to be afraid of? And then he says,
Yeah.
"No."
No.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And I love that after Momo makes this resolution, Luffy proclaims to the entirety of Onigashima, "Don't worry about Kaido. I guarantee you I'll win.
Yup.
As long as I'm alive, I have infinite chances." Oh, so cool.
Uh, and then,
And they clash, splitting the sky, which
oh,
exposes the moon so that Parasparrow and Jack can get dog walked and catwalked, I guess.
yeah,
I especially love this look of Parasparrow and Jack both looking up on the moon. They both have this look on their face. They're like, "I'm not built for this." It's so funny. They both have this look in their eyes, like, "Oh
oh
shit, shit."
shit.
Oh,
We
it's
just
so
talked
good.
so much shit about
We
the
talked
moon
about
being
so much shit about
gone.
the moon being gone, and now it's back. And then they both get one shot afterwards. So
Mm-hmm.
good. I do wish that Jack got to be more of a character.
Right? Like Queen and King are such rich characters, and then Jack is just like
Nothing.
almost a
Yeah,
gag.
he's kind of a gag. Like King and Queen are these unbelievable storytelling tools to give us so much to dig into with Zoro and Sanji,
Right.
and Jack is like a joke character
Yeah.
almost. And I think it's a
I
bit
think
of a
that
shame.
the most I can say positive about Jack is that like Jack's relationship to Kaido shows that Kaido kind of like genuinely does care about his crew. Like Kaido, like Jack does nothing but take L's the whole time we know
Yeah,
him.
and Kaido is still
And
on board
Kaido
with
is
him.
still like, "Hey
So
dude, don't worry. Those guys are just real strong.
those guys are real strong. You're a lot stronger than a whole lot of other guys.
Yeah, you got a billion berry bounty, man. Don't even worry about them,
But
man."
like seeing this guy get dog walked makes me
Yeah,
even
by
sadder that he's the first billion berry character that we meet and not
yeah,
Katakuri.
I just disagree. I just don't.
Technically you meet Whitebeard and shut up, Battle.
Yeah,
Shut
yeah.
up.
Shut up.
Shut up, lad. uh so we keep
But yeah,
moving forward to
I
we get
mean,
some
really,
more.
I mean, really, the Roger had a bounty of, and we see him in the intro, so.
Yeah, but the first character we are told their bounty is a billion is Jack,
Yeah, right.
which
Yeah,
I think is a
exactly.
shame. It seems like Oda didn't even realize when he makes the whole deal about Katakuri being the billion berry
Being the
man,
billion berry man, yeah.
which I also is kind of funny in hindsight with like all these other characters being worth like 3+ billion berries that we've
Multiple
already met.
billions.
But
You
I'm
know,
not trying to
look,
slander Katakuri. I love Katakuri, so
absolutely not. Katakuri rules.
no, this is a house for slandering. I don't know, rolls the dice. I don't know. I can't talk shit about kids, so I can talk shit about Mihawk or something. I don't know.
We could talk shit about
Orochi,
Spandam.
who I hate. Spandam.
Spandam? I hate that guy.
Spandam.
Uh,
Spandam is so similar to Orochi. I didn't even think about it.
yeah,
They're like the same kind of guy.
they are.
I think Spandam is funnier though. I like seeing Spandam lose.
Yeah, I like
I don't like seeing
Spandam's.
Orochi at all.
Yeah, I just get mad looking at Orochi.
Seeing Spandam lose puts a smile on my face. Seeing Orochi come back every couple chapters, I'm like, oh my god,
God damn it, this guy
die!
again.
Lose your eighth head, you piece of shit. Um, and I love how Luffy. This we're back to Momo again, but Luffy
Yeah, yeah.
encourages Momo in one way, but then he starts to lose faith again,
Hmm.
and Yamato picks up where Luffy cannot.
Right.
Like you have this power like Kaido's. You can do these things that a dragon can do, which I think
Exactly.
is really cool that the son of the dragon is giving Momo that advice.
Hmm.
I especially like when he hits Momo over the head with a club and says, "Don't be stupid,"
Yeah.
while they're hanging in the sky off of clouds. And then we get a lot of this volume is building up to Zoro versus King and Sanji versus Queen.
Yeah.
Uh, so I guess uh, there's this too about there's so much shit to talk about. Um, I guess I'll start with CP0
Yeah.
here a little bit, and there's more to talk about with CP0 as we go. But this CP0 here ties into a couple of things, and since this is Rob Lucci's one panel, I'm gonna talk about my Rob Lucci thing now,
Okay.
because while I in the course of the 2 weeks that I've spent sitting on this section, you're gonna think about sections that are not Wano, right?
Yeah, right, of course.
So I guess I'm just gonna start with Rob Lucci. I was thinking about Rob Lucci, and I don't know why I started thinking about Rob Lucci, but I was thinking about Rob Lucci and how
Hmm.
strange he is.
Yeah.
Because he's so different, at least in my conception of it, and maybe I'm forgetting somebody, but compared to basically every single other major antagonist of every arc, none of them are like Lucci. They're all like Crocodile. I'm always comparing
This,
people to Crocodile, right?
yeah.
And I was just thinking about it in the grand scheme of things. There for arc main antagonists that are not pirates, there's
Hmm.
Axe Hand Morgan. Maybe you could argue Smoker in Logtown, but I don't know if that's really the same thing. Plus, Buggy is a huge part of that arc too.
Yeah.
You have Rob Lucci,
Hmm.
and that's it.
That is it.
Unless you want to count Akainu for Summit War, or
Yeah,
like
and like minorly, Fujitora.
Magellan, or like Fujitora minorly, but like even then I don't think there's really a main antagonist to the Summit War, right? Like there's so much
Yeah.
other shit going on. Like maybe you could say it's Blackbeard, you could say it's the world government broadly, but there's no arc other than Water 7 Enies Lobby where the definitive main antagonist is a member of the world government other than Rob Lucci. And I just
That's
think that's
really interesting.
strange. I guess
Yeah.
unless excluding Axe Hand Morgan,
Yeah.
which I think is a fair character to
Yeah,
exclude.
we just forget about him.
I think it's I don't want to get rid of my whole conception of Rob Lucci by counting Axe Hand Morgan. And I just think it's he's so strange. Why is Rob Lucci the only world government main antagonist for an arc?
Hmm.
And why is Rob Lucci the antagonist that seems to be coming back?
You think Rob Lucci's coming back?
I think so. He's been popping up for the last 3 or 4 arcs. I'd like to hope that he's coming back because I want to see Rob Lucci again. Because I don't know. I guess I said this a while
Yeah.
ago in Reverie. What the hell is up with Rob Lucci? There's just something about this guy that is strange to me, and
Hmm.
he doesn't fit into the larger picture of all these other
It feels like he doesn't fit
villains.
In this world.
Exactly.
Like he
That's sort of my
seems
thoughts. He
just
just
like a
feels
character from a different manga.
he is an oddity. He has like the way that he is motivated and like acts and does things is
Right, like
so different from every
he's
other
motivated by
character.
purely just like violence.
He's
And
motivated
he just
by
wants to
purely
do
violence.
violence.
He will
Like he doesn't want power. He doesn't want wealth, fame, or power.
yeah, he doesn't want the One Piece. He's not chasing a dream. He's not trying to suppress dreams. He's not following justice, really. I mean, I guess he kind of is his dark
But
justice, but his
like,
dark justice just means I get to hurt people because
yeah,
it's
I get to hurt
just.
people, and
Whatever's just is me getting to hurt people. And that's not following
exactly
justice, really, in the sense that other characters have moral quandaries about following justice.
right. Like he's not in the Marines or the world government for any reason that's similar to like Garp or Smoker or even a
Yeah.
Kainu.
Yeah. Like even the big guys who are all
Yeah,
in on the
even
justice
the
shit,
ones.
like a
Yeah,
Kainu or Borsalino
uh,
or Ryokugyu.
yeah,
I just think he's so strange.
yeah.
And I'm really curious about him coming back, especially
Yeah.
now that Luffy has achieved Gear 5.
Mm-hmm.
Because last time we fought Rob Lucci was when Luffy had to level up the first time.
Right.
And so I don't know. It's interesting. I just keep thinking about him. I also
Mm-hmm.
this has nothing to do with really any of my thoughts on Rob Lucci, but we haven't seen his pure leopard form before.
That's true.
So maybe I don't know. That's just a thought I had. I was like, that's strange, isn't it?
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. I feel like there is something to Rob Lucci at the moment that I'm supposed to be grabbing onto and thinking about for the near future,
Mm-hmm.
because I think it's especially when we have like characters like obviously he hasn't really shown up in this section, but with a character like Crocodile popping up again and Buggy
Yeah.
popping up again, and Big Mom and Kaido and Shanks popping up again, all these other characters.
Right.
Why is Rob Lucci popping up again?
Mm-hmm.
He's so
Different.
I don't know. He's so weird. Um, and I also have a note that is also in this for this moment with Lucci about Robin now being a threat more to the world government than a desire of other pirates.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's necessarily the case. I wrote that in my notes, and that's kind of how I was feeling when I wrote it, because like now that we've beat the shit out of Kaido, what fucking pirate is coming after Nico Robin?
I mean,
Because at least from my conception, it seems like the only people that would be big threats are other members of the Worst Generation or other emperors. And
yeah.
Shanks already seems to know what to do, so I don't think he needs a Nico Robin.
Mm-hmm.
Buggy, I think, is too stupid, and I think we'll
I don't
get.
think that Buggy is. I don't think that Buggy is after the One Piece.
I think that Buggy will get there on accident, and
Exactly.
I don't think he needs to read the poneglyphs. I think Blackbeard already has a plan for that is not Nico Robin.
Probably.
Because
Yeah.
I think Blackbeard, if Blackbeard's plan involved needing Nico Robin to read the poneglyphs, he would have kidnapped her in the 2 years and not waited
Right.
for us to get
Yeah.
so much stronger, right?
Yeah.
Blackbeard was not that stupid, I don't think.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other members of the Worst Generation, I think, are either not hot shit enough to take on
Yeah.
the Straw Hats and get Nico
No
Robin,
longer on our level.
or
I mean, who knows? Maybe Urush has been really
oh,
hitting the
I
gym.
have thoughts about Uruj. We'll get to Uruj later. I'll save Uruj for discussion later.
Okay.
But the only two really that are in that position to compete with Luffy are Trafalgar Law and Eustace Kid.
Right.
And Law can already read them, I think.
I don't think he can.
Or at least he doesn't seem to be after Robin. I don't think that after
Yeah.
all
No.
this that
It's
Law would be stabbing us in the back that way. Even if he's
also like.
saying the whole next time we meet we'll be enemies. Yeah, sure, Law. Yeah,
Yeah.
kid
Sure.
yourself,
But also,
dumbass.
but like even like Kid, who seems like is more about being an adversary to Luffy. If he wanted Nico Robin, Luffy would just be like, "Yeah, you can go. You can borrow Robin for a
Yeah,
minute
Robin
if
can help you
Robin wants
read.
to."
Yeah, if Robin wants to do it. But also, and this comes in way later. I'm not going to get into the content of it now. But it seems to me that Kid has already read some poneglyphs because he
Yeah, it
has the
does kind
whole
of seem like that,
idea
doesn't it?
about the thing with the burn scar, which I'll come back to later when it's actually in the content.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think that
So
him or Law need a Nico Robin because I think
yeah,
they have some other method of doing it. So the
mean
only
some
other
other means of
people,
reading poneglyphs,
yeah, so the only other people that would come after it would be Kaido and Big Mom, and they just got
and
their asses beat. So like
maybe and they're maybe dead.
they're dead question mark. Unclear at the moment. I
Yeah,
guess Nami still has Zeus, so I guess Big Mom can't be dead,
but maybe not.
but I don't even know if Zeus is still part of her soul anymore or not. It's really unclear.
It is really vague whether or not they are dead or not.
Really vague whether or not they're dead. So
I
like I
hope they're
think that
not.
I hope they're not because I'd
Personally,
like to see Kaido and Big Mom again because I think they're fun antagonists.
yeah.
So I think that it seems to me that if Nico Robin is under threat of anyone, it is now the world government since CP0 is after them
Is
or after her.
actively hunting her.
Yeah, and presumably actively hunting Monkey D. Luffy.
Right.
which is maybe even more evidence for Rob Lucci's going to show up again here soon. I mean, not that he's not been showing up since Dressrosa, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, he's been here for a while.
Anyways, moving past Rob Lucci, who is not relevant to this arc at all, we get to more of the build
we
up.
get.
Do you want to talk about
I
the Snakeosaurus thingy that
I
Queen
think it's
does?
I think it's so stupid and funny.
Why did he do this?
Why did Oda decide to make dinosaurs function in such weird ways in this
Ways.
world?
I love
This
it.
isn't
I
like
think it's such a
this isn't
funny
a
idea.
queen. This isn't like a queen like science thing. This is just what Brachiosauruses did in the One Piece world.
That's the thing too, is like I have the question of like, did they actually do this in the One Piece world, or is this just like weird fucky devil fruit stuff? Because we've seen
I,
dinosaurs before in back in Little Garden, didn't we?
we did
And they
see
didn't.
dinosaurs.
We didn't see a dinosaur do this.
Well,
You
this
know,
is
could
just
they
how
have done
hunted.
that?
They weren't hunting us.
I guess maybe. I just think
Who
it's really
knows?
funny, and it's not just Queen too. King does something, and they're like, "Oh,
Yeah,
that's just how
King does
dinosaurs."
weird.
And I think there's
Yeah, he
something
does
with
his like weird he pulls his head
head
back,
back to make like a
uses it like a
slingshot.
laser.
Yeah, and doesn't Drake do something too? I think I
I
can't remember, but there's
can't
multiple
remember.
moments
There's
of like, oh no,
multiple times
dinosaurs
where
are just weird.
dinosaurs just do weird shit.
Dinosaurs can just do weird shit, which I think is really funny.
I think it's really funny. I also like that Queen has like weaponized his like body part so that it's not a useless hunk of meat
Yeah.
while he's in snake mode. And then
Although
I love the bits of him try like evil monologuing about the brachio laser and it being a voice activated
thing, and then
laser
it shoots
shot
him over and over again.
over and over again. Great bit.
Great bit, and it gets us into Sanji.
Sanji.
Sanji, things are weird with Sanji. His
What's
bones
up
are
with his
breaking and then
body?
snapping back into place. Queen tries to cut his head off with a sword, and the sword shatters.
Uh-huh. Do you have thoughts about the Sanji stuff? Because I certainly have thoughts about the Sanji stuff.
I have a lot of thoughts about the Sanji stuff. Um, I don't know. I mean, do we want to get into the Sanji stuff right now, or do we want to wait for the fight? Is the question.
I guess we can wait for the fight. I don't know how much more. I can't remember how much more build up there is.
Well, I think
to
there's the
fight.
whole. Is the Zoro fight before or after? I guess it's after,
think-
right?
Yeah, Zoro's after.
Okay. I guess before I get into the Sanji stuff, I want to talk about Chopper.
All right. Yeah.
But I
let's
want to
talk
talk
about Chopper.
But I'm not just talking about Chopper. I'm talking about Chopper and Sanji collectively. They're together here, and I think that it's interesting. And part of this is inspired from one of a video essay that you had sent me that I think was actually about Nico Robin, but it had a moment about Sanji and Chopper.
Yeah.
Then that talking about a scene in Eni's lobby made me think about this fight with Queen here.
Uh-huh.
Where Chopper and Sanji are the two kindest, most caring members of the crew by sort of necessity, because Sanji is the chef
both of their
and Chopper is
like
the doctor.
roles on the crew are like roles of service. Like,
And
they are the chef and the doctor.
yeah, and then in previous arcs, like in the video mentioned stuff with Water 7 and Eni's lobby
By the
about
way,
how
for anyone who doesn't know, if you know our channel and not Melon T's channel, crazy. But yeah, Melon T's video about Nico Robin and reframing the Nico Robin moments, go watch that. Great video.
yeah, go watch that, then come back here and subscribe.
No, wait, stay here until the end of the video, then go watch that
Yeah, then
one.
go watch that one and then subscribe.
And then subscribe to both us and her. She's great.
Yeah. But that is talking, so that talks about in like Eni's lobby, there's this sort of the dichotomy, and I had mentioned this before we were even recording, and probably in other arcs too, of this sort of like this dichotomy of both Sanji and Chopper being these like ultra caring people, and yet Sanji is unwilling to waver on his beliefs and his humanity to save someone in Eni's lobby, and yet Chopper is willing to throw away his everything to do that, and in a way they end up both being a liability as a result. Like they both take their caring to an extreme. And so I think it's really interesting to see that reframed here in Wano, with Chopper being the one who I think puts more of a focus on like it's sort of Chopper is being human in his way, right? And like healing and being the monster to stall,
Right.
and he's able to be a monster and to do healing without being a liability to the crew.
Uh-huh.
And then Sanji gets to do the same thing where he sort of starts becoming a monster, and then it is his humanity that allows him to not be a liability to the crew in a sort of
Right.
a mirror to what happened with the two of them in Enies lobby. And I think it's cool that the two of them have to work together to beat
Yeah, and I
Queen,
mean
because like
Queen
Chopper is
is this sort of like amalgam of both the opposite of Sanji and opposite of Queen or opposite of Chopper, in that he's this doctor who this like evil doctor who is also using the power of science and like Germa tech.
yeah. I
Um
think I really like Queen, obviously.
yeah, I love
And
Queen.
I think it's cool the way that Queen obviously is a really interesting foil for Sanji, but I think it's cool that he is also a foil for the dynamic between Chopper and Sanji that has been building
Mhm.
since at least
Exactly.
Water 7.
Right.
I think is really cool.
Mhm.
And then do we move straight into actually no, we move into the Killer Hawkins fight. There's this here in
Oh,
between.
this is a fun little fight.
I like this little fight. I think it's a cool little fight. There's not a lot to say
Mhm.
about it. I have most of
I just
most of
think
what I want to
I
say
just
about
think that
Hawkins is later.
I just think the Hawkins powers are really cool. I
Hawkins'
think I've said
powers are
that
really
a
cool.
lot.
He's a cool character. I think that like
Um,
him having like the tarot reading is cool.
mhm.
I think the way that Killer like solves his power by
Mhm.
knowing his partner so well is so cool.
Right.
Um
Him cutting off
Hawkins' arm because
Hawkins'
he doesn't
left
have
arm
a
because
a thing
Kid
to
doesn't have a left
yeah,
arm.
kid doesn't have an arm. Really cool.
Mhm.
And I like
Um,
that Killer taking Hawkins out gives room for Kid to not have to hold back against Big Mom, which comes
right.
up later.
Mhm.
Um
Um,
And then also, where is this? Did I miss this? No, I haven't missed it yet. Let's keep moving forward. I'm skipping past Hiroshi. I don't want to talk about him right now.
that's
And we'll
fine.
talk about Kid in Law later when their fight
Yeah.
comes up more in detail.
Mhm.
I'm just trying to move fast. I guess we're at Sanji. Yeah.
It's Sanji time,
I think it's
baby.
Sanji time. I thought there was a different thing that happened before the Sanji thing, but I think it's at the start of the next volume.
Nah,
Oh, this Sanji section is so good.
it's remarkable.
It's
Look,
unbelievable.
as a Sanji fanboy, this shit I was already all in on Sanji after Whole Cake. I've made that no secret. This shit just elevated Sanji so much in such an interesting way of having him have to deal with and reckon with becoming the monster that he has always despised. And like even just like the having the thought of could I have even hit that woman?
Like
It's just
even the potential that Sanji could have
mhm,
struck a woman is like enough to shake him so deeply.
shake him to his core.
And he and I love this whole moment of when he goes into like his own thoughts as he's being stared down by Queen. Tell me,
Hmm.
Luffy, which would you
Hmm.
prefer? And he just it's so good.
It's so
A
good.
regular flesh and blood man who turns into a helpless wreck whenever he faces a woman, or a cruel, cold, emotionless warrior of science. Which one's going to be more useful to the king of the pirates? I've made up my mind.
And then he crushes the raid
Crushes the
suit.
raid suit. Ugh.
Ugh, it's sad
It's
because the
sad
raid
because the
suit
outfit
was
is sick.
so cool,
It's a shame because the outfit is
but
sick, but
it's an
what an
incredible
awesome,
moment for Sanji.
awesome character moment for Sanji.
And then we get a
An even greater a character moment that's great for Sanji and Zoro together, who
yeah,
are the highlights of the end of this volume, where he
absolutely.
calls Zoro,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Calling Zoro on
yeah, on
the snail
the
in the
snail.
bushi
We're
that
gonna
he
beat
put
the
in
Animal
his
Kingdom pirates real soon, but after the finisher, if I'm not in my right mind, I want you to kill me.
sort of saying, "All right,
Yeah,
I'll
at
kill
least,
you just like you asked."
or at least now I have something to look forward to after this. In that case, don't die before then.
Oh,
Thanks,
God, I love
Click.
these two
I love
so
these two.
much.
They are so. Oh, the dynamic between Sanji and Zoro is so, so,
The
so good.
wings of the Pirate King
The wings of the
are
Pirate King. I fucking
just
love them.
incredible. And then getting Sanji actually utilizing the uh uh exoskeleton that has been activated within him, talk saying like I can get my flames can get hotter. I can deal more damage. I can go faster
Yeah,
now. Utilizing this power truly for good,
is
which
awesome.
it's incredible. And then I think that
Ah,
we talked a little bit because we went and watched these two fights and the other fight that we'll
the one
talk
that we'll
about
get
later.
to. The one that we're gonna talk even
We
longer
wa-
than these two somehow.
we watched these in the anime, and I think we talked a little bit about the theory that Sanji might have some sort of Lunarian DNA within
Like
him from
spliced
the
in from
yes,
the
licensed
blood
him from
element
the
thing.
whatever happened with Judge and his science, which is why he is able to light himself on fire and be this absurd force when he should have just been a regular guy.
Yeah.
Um, which I don't know if we have anything more to say about that. I just wanted to say that that is an interesting theory that we've talked about.
Yeah, I think that's my conception of it. I know before I had stated that I thought that maybe he was a Lunarian. In my defense, that was before I really knew what a Lunarian looked like. I didn't
Yeah,
know.
in the last part you were like, "Well, what if Sora was a Lunarian?" I'm like, I just don't.
Yeah, I
Just
was
something
like,
about the way that she is, and
yeah,
maybe
in
the
my
fact that she
defense,
doesn't
I
have
didn't
wings
know they
or
looked like
dark skin or
Sephiroth,
white hair.
okay? I didn't know they looked like Sephiroth with dark skin, all right? I wasn't
Uh-huh.
aware. Uh but I really love this fight with
Yeah.
Queen. I
Oh,
love
and I
he
mean,
is such a perfect foil, and I say this about Kaido and King too, but he's such a perfect foil
mhm,
for everything that Sanji is,
right,
because like he is everything that Derma like strives for. He is this
right.
the man of science. He's barely human. He fights in the dinosaur mode. He uses the powers of all of them. He hits and abuses women. He
Mm-hmm.
is unkind to the point that even Chopper is like, in the same way, Chopper is sort of serving as an example of Sanji's kindness, and that,
Mm-hmm.
Queen being an opposite of Chopper in a way makes him the opposite of Sanji too.
Mm-hmm.
And like all of that pitted against Sanji, who is able to beat Queen by tapping into a little bit of that, but using it to be who he is and what makes
Right.
him the wing of the Pirate King, one of the
Mm-hmm.
wings of the Pirate King, is just so good. And I really love this fight with Queen. I think it's really
Right.
cool.
And I mean the Ifrit Jambe
Yeah, Ifrit Jamba.
as his final attack is just it's drawn incredibly, and then Toei went absolutely crazy during this scene
Yeah.
in the anime.
And I love
Just
also that
beautiful.
the thing that does Queen in
Mm-hmm.
is that he is willing to strike a woman.
Right.
It is in his attempt to get back at this like geisha prostitute that he's mad at,
Mm-hmm.
that Sanji figures out where he is, discovers that he's not the one who hit the woman,
Mm-hmm.
and is able to take him out with Ifrit Jamba. And I think it's really, really great.
Right. And I think it's so important that at the very end of this fight, we see Sanji go find this girl's little mouse friend.
Yeah.
I think it's so important for him to be able to do this, to show that he can, after embracing this mutation, this exoskeleton, to still be able to be soft and kind like he has always been.
Yeah, still be gentle. Like even when he's doing Ifrit Jamba, he's keeping this little mouse safe in his pocket
Right.
and not destroy it in the process.
And obviously, I mean, allude back with the paneling to Sanji cooking for mice in the dungeon that he lived in, and it just I don't know what it is exactly about this scene, but it just gets to me
Yeah, I love it.
so much.
I love it. I think if I liked Sanji more, I would love it even more. I do.
Yeah.
This section is amazing. I really like this section for Sanji. I think it's really, really cool.
Hmm.
Ugh. I don't know. Part of me, I don't know what else I have to say about it.
I
Without
don't.
like talking in circles about it's so awesome and like I love Queen. So just to sort of keep us moving, I guess I'm gonna back up because we get a little bit of Zoro backstory to build up for Zoro versus King,
Right. Yeah, we
which is
do.
another awesome fight between these
Oh
two.
yeah.
I'm not gonna try and compare which of the fights I think is better. I think they are
I
both
don't.
really good, and
They're
that's
both
not
just really
interesting.
good.
They're both worse than Gear 5, so who cares anyway? Am I right, gamers?
Yeah.
But I love especially there's this section at the beginning before we get into the fight with King proper,
Hmm.
and there's something about like the way that Zoro is so caring of his swords really gets to me.
Yeah.
Like there's moments where rather than striking King, he like goes out of his way to save one of his swords, and not even just the
Hmm.
Wado Ichimoji because there's a moment later with the Wado Ichimoji, but like I think it's like the one that he got in
Yeah.
Logtown,
His
his
kitetsu.
Kitetsu that he almost loses, and he's like, oh, thank goodness I got it just in time.
Hmm. And like,
Uh,
there's so much put into here about like swords having their own will and being, like having a spirit within them, which I think
yeah,
is very like I believe that comes from a sort of like traditional Japanese like view, but also in a story like this where will is like so important and is embodied physically in the world so many times, having having a sword have its own will, I think is such an interesting and like deep concept
yeah,
to where like obviously Kuina's will is the Wado Ichimoji. It like in practice, like that is the physical manifestation of Kuina's will
yeah.
that Zoro is keeping with him.
And so you
And
have this
yeah.
like you have the her sword, the Wado Ichimoji. You have Enma, which is carrying the will of Oden, and then you have the
Hmm.
Kitetsu, which maybe you could argue is carrying Zoro's will at this point, and is maybe
Maybe.
Zoro's sword. I don't know. I'm not sure still whether or not I think Zoro needs a new third sword
Yeah.
to replace the Kitetsu, because part of me is still in, especially when we meet the guy in the flashback, this
Hmm.
the blacksmith that made the Wado Ichimoji and the Enma.
Hmm.
Part of me still thinks that he maybe made three swords that were legendary, and then Zoro needs the third one.
Right.
And that one can be the one that Zoro holds. But I mean, also like the Kitetsu has been with us since fucking Logtown,
Yeah.
and Zoro
It'd
has
be a
been
little
through
weird. It'd be a little weird to replace it at this point.
because like the other sword, the third sword has been like in and out of rotation, right? Like we had the
Hmm.
whatever the other one we got in Logtown was, and then that got replaced
With
in
Shusui.
with Shusui, and then that's been replaced by Enma.
Yeah.
But it's really
And
I don't
so
know,
I.
it's really interesting, and we get into this sort of with this whole section with Zoro, and I'm also
Mhm.
not going to pretend like this is entirely my idea because I have some other thoughts about like we're a little more my idea about this fight
Mhm.
with Zoro and King, but I want to mention it without going into too much detail because it's not explicitly my idea, but the way that this fight with King gets Zoro back on track
Yeah.
in a way that he's no longer fighting either for his will and his dream to become the world's greatest swordsman, or fighting for Luffy's dream to make Luffy the king of the pirates, but coming
Those
to this
those have become
realization,
one and the same.
realizing that those are the same thing, flashing back to the moment from way back when I maybe even Romance Dawn is when Luffy said this of like the world's greatest swordsman, huh? Well, that's good because the king of the
Yeah,
pirates
no,
is going to need no less.
that is in like chapter 3.
And flashing all the way back to then of like all the way back then Luffy realized those were the same thing.
Exactly.
And
And it took
Zoro
Zoro this long to
Zoro getting it
finally get it.
now is so so cool.
And now finally being able to like tap into his conqueror's spirit and finally reach his I wouldn't say his peak because I think
Yeah, I think
all of these people
Zoro's
have
got more room to grow for sure.
yeah,
But
but like
like going
this
to a point
new
where
height,
at the top, you know, at the roof, he used his strongest attack and wasn't even able to bring Kaido to his knees.
right?
And now with a reaffirmed resolve, he's able to use not even his strongest attack to take down a wing of the would-be Pirate King,
Right.
which I think is really really cool.
And
Um
it's
and I think
yeah.
to sort of tie my conception of what I like so much about this King Zoro fight into that idea is that there's I think a bit of like there's a bit with the you know the Wada Ichimonji and the new sword and that all tying Zoro together to like realize the connection between the Kuina thing and the
Yeah.
Luffy thing. But I think there's more to the Kuina thing that is sort of inherent in who King is
Mm.
in this fight. And I forget where it is, but there is a line in here somewhere. I forget where it is where King says that he is like biologically superior to Zoro and that it is
Oh,
biologically
right.
impossible for Zoro to win. And
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think it
yeah.
is so interesting to bring that concept in after all this time,
Mm-hmm.
flashing all the way back to, if you haven't thought about it in a while, all the way back to Zoro's backstory, which, you know, compared to others is a little sparse on stuff. But one of the most
Right.
important things in that backstory is
Is
that
that
Kuina
Kuina is female?
Kuina is female and she believes herself to be biologically inferior to Zoro or will be eventually.
Right.
And that's
Like she
stopping her
says that
from being the
it
world's
is like a
greatest.
foregone conclusion that Zoro will surpass her simply because of her gender
Yeah.
and of her
And
biology.
all the way back then, Zoro was like, "Don't say that. That's stupid." Because
That's
Zoro's
bullshit.
that's bullshit. You can be the world's greatest swordsman. One of us will be
Right.
the world's greatest swordsman. And now, all the way, like 12 plus years into the future from that moment, Zoro
Yeah.
is faced with that same ultimatum by King. King says, "No matter what you do, by sheer nature of your biology, you cannot beat me."
And once again, Zoro says, "Fuck that.
Fuck that.
That's
That's bullshit.
bullshit.
I'm gonna be the world's greatest swordsman.
Fuck
And
yeah."
I think, to me, I think that from King is part of this bringing Zoro into the back to his mindset, and almost like a that to me seems like Zoro flashing back to Kuina
Mm-hmm.
and being like, these are the one and the same thing. This guy
Right.
is the right hand of a would be pirate king. I'm the right hand of a would be pirate king. This guy thought he was biologically inferior. Kuina thought she was biologically inferior. You know, all this other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so good. How does he do this shit?
It's so
How
good.
does he
It's
do it?
incredible.
And the obviously the action in this fight is really really fucking cool.
Oh, I mean, yeah, like
Um, I don't have a ton to say on it other than
there's
that it's
there
awesome.
just go watch it again if you
Go,
don't if we don't need to say that it's the one of the most insane pieces of animation ever put to the screen.
yeah.
You can go watch it and learn that yourself.
I don't have to say that it's good. Go read it or watch it and have your mind blown by the artistry on display.
Yeah.
Um, do we want to talk about King himself now?
Um, I think
Because
I
I
want
think
to save King for my like final thoughts on Kaido because I think that they're more intertwined.
okay. I guess
Like
I we can save King for then. That's fine with me.
unless you have something that is not directly related to Kaido that you want to talk about with King, because I think their dynamic is what interests me the most.
I would agree with you, and I think I don't know. I do have one question surrounding King, but I don't think it's unrelated to Kaido
Yeah.
entirely. So we can save
Okay.
it for the final
Yeah,
thoughts on Kaido.
we'll save that for a minute.
Um,
I do just want to point out that Zoro's new epithet, the King of Hell, is absolutely fucking crazy.
it's so hard. It makes me hope that some other members of the crew are gonna get new epithets as well.
Mm-hmm. And
Specifically
I
Nami.
do think it's
Come on,
really
Nami.
I think it's really, really cool that now after we find out that Zoro is also a conqueror, that he becomes a king
Yeah,
like Luffy,
yeah,
the
very
the
cool.
king of hell.
I
as
also
the
think it's
counterpart to
interesting,
the king of the pirates.
similar to talking about a counterpoint to the King of the Pirates. You have King as a counterpoint to Kaido, who wants to be King of the Pirates. Now you have
Right.
Zoro, the King of Hell, as a counterpoint to the King of the Pirates. And way
Mm-hmm.
back 20 years ago, you had Silver's Rayleigh, the Dark King, as a
Oh shit.
parallel to his King of the
You're
Pirates.
oh
This
shit.
three different right wings, I think, is super super cool.
Also kings in their own right.
So awesome.
Oh
And
wow. That's
presumably
oh fuck
Rayleigh
yeah.
had conquerors. I think that's. Oh no, he did. We've
Yeah,
seen him do it.
yeah.
We've seen him do it. I never
Yeah,
mind.
yeah, we have seen him
I
do
was
that.
forgot that he said it. We've seen him do it for a second, but
Mm-hmm.
it's so cool. I love it. I love it
It's
so
just
much.
the it's like this the Star Wars thing. It all rhymes and
It's
it's
fucking
sick.
poetry. It rhymes. I love it. I also love that Zoro cuts off one of King's wings. I hope we get to see him again. Although maybe he died at the end of this arc? Question mark.
Yeah, okay. There's a lot of characters who maybe died.
It's a little unclear what Ryokugyu did to them at the end of this, and maybe they're dead. But I would like to see him again because the one-winged angel
Well,
look is cool as shit.
yeah, I
Um,
mean, we know that we saw Ryokugyu suck Shinobu, and then she's fine.
yeah, but they like
So
stopped him. So I don't know if maybe they're not
I
fine.
don't know. I hope that King and Kaido. I don't really have a whole lot more I actually want from Big Mom. I think Big Mom is
I
kind
don't
of
know.
done for.
I mean, Big Mom is kind of done for, but there's the whole loose thread with Katakuri, right?
I think, but I think that could also be. I think that can still be explored through like Perospero and like
Sparrow and the people of Tato Land and like
yeah,
what is her name? Smoothie,
pudding
Starlet Smoothie.
smoothie.
Smoothie's another one of the big three generals, and we've seen nothing from her.
I guess that's true. I just didn't think about her
I
as like a
I feel like
relevant
she's to
character.
me. I mean, Paris Sparrow's not one of the big three.
Yeah, you
So I
guess you're
think
right.
if anybody's gonna take rule after Big Mom, I don't think Katakuri is going to do it because I don't think they're gonna let him,
Yeah.
and I don't think it would be Perospero because he just got his shit rocked. I think if anybody's gonna do it, it's gonna be Smoothie, who I thought
Okay.
was with them on this trip, but we haven't seen her this whole arc. So maybe I forgot about her and she was on the ship, or I'm not remembering right.
Well, don't the rest of the Big Mom pirates just keep getting kicked down the waterfall?
Oh, right. They that is true.
Yeah.
That is true. Anyways,
But
I
yeah,
want
no,
to talk
like I
about.
was saying,
Oh, sorry, you go.
I was just saying, like I don't think that Big Mom's story necessarily needs to continue. I think Kaido absolutely has to survive, and I think that if you have Kaido without King, he is like a much less interesting character.
Yeah, I would agree. Anyways,
So,
moving a little further on the plot, I want to talk about Usopp.
yay!
I have stuff to
I
talk
love
about
Usopp.
Usopp. I love Usopp, obviously. Um, and I want to preface this thing with Usopp by saying I do not hate Frankie because
We all love Frankie.
I love Frankie, but when I gas up Usopp for this scene, it's gonna sound a little strange when I was complaining about Frankie getting a whole fight with a Toby Ropo. Okay, that's
Hmm.
my preface. Anyways, I love this scene from Usopp.
Yeah.
I think, and it's easy in a similar way that I think it's easy to misconstrue Sanji asking for help in a way where like, oh, he's so lame, he's running away kind of thing here
Right.
with
Yeah.
Usopp. But I think in this moment, what's interesting about Usopp being a coward here is how it relates to Kinemon and how it relates to Kiku. Because
Hmm.
they have run into this mission with the plan of not coming back alive.
Uh-huh.
And I love the way that Usopp counters this. He says,
Hmm.
I do not care if it looks pathetic. I survive. It's what I do. And it's the entire reason I'm standing here alive today. Why are you idiots so satisfied with just pulling off your raid?
Oh.
I love it. I just, the way
Yeah, no,
that
that does
Usopp,
go hard.
and Usopp saves them. Kinemon and
Yeah.
Kiku make it out alive because Usopp is a coward.
Hmm.
And I think there's just something, I don't know, it's about like what makes Usopp a coward and what makes Usopp brave.
Hmm.
And I think there is something to be said about Usopp's running away in this situation being bravery.
Right.
Because the coward's way out is to die.
Is to die.
The brave way out is to make it out on the other side so that you can be there for Momonosuke at the end of this. And I think it's just, there's something there with Usopp. And it's, Usopp doesn't get a lot to do, but it's such a small moment for Usopp that I really love. That to me, I think is showing his growth as a character. And I think we're obviously with, I'm not going to say it, but there's a thing in the future that's going on as this is being recorded in the manga that I imagine will have more to do with Usopp. So I think that Usopp's arc is in progress, and I don't think it's like, I think a lot of characters in this arc are having their like big moment, like this is their big halfway point of the story. I'm guessing this is the
Right.
halfway point of post time skip is my assumption.
Probably.
Obviously unknown because we don't know when it's going to end. For all we
Yeah.
know, there could be 10 more years of One Piece, right? So, or like 20 more years of One Piece, right? So like,
God, I hope
I am
so.
I am under the assumption that Wano is the halfway point, and for a lot of characters, I think you have this big moment here at this halfway point climax. They get a big moment
Hmm.
like Luffy and Zoro and Sanji and Robin, etc., etc.
Right.
And maybe that's what's going on with Frankie too. And this gets into one of my notes about what am I missing with Frankie, and that I feel like
Hmm.
for some of the characters who don't get their big moments here, like Brook and Jinbei and Usopp and Frankie, that I feel like maybe they are building to a climax that we're going to get maybe around the 75% of the way mark to get them
Yeah.
ready for the finale. And obviously, Jinbei can't have his big moment yet because he's just joined the crew, right? So him joining the crew is a big moment for Jinbei.
Right.
But
Yeah.
it's not like a big character moment for Jinbei, like I think something like Sanji or Zoro are getting.
Hmm.
But I think that when you look at Usopp and you look at Brook and you look at Jinbei, you see the seeds being planted and like them being part of an arc of growth for the character in this
Hmm.
section. And I don't see that with Frankie.
Yeah.
And I feel
I
like maybe
feel
I'm
what you're
missing something with
saying.
Frankie. I will come back to this idea later. But I
Okay.
think that this is a cool moment for Usopp. I think Usopp's big moment was in Dressrosa, and I think he is now
Hmm.
building to his really big moment in Redacted. Which, if you're reading
Uh,
current, you know what
what?
Redacted is. If you're
Yeah, you
not,
know what it is.
if you're reading along, I'm not gonna say it because I don't want to ruin it because I'm upset that I know.
Yeah.
Anyways, moving past Usopp, I really like Izo showing up here. I think Izo is cool.
I think Izo is really understated in this part, but I
I
think
would
Izo is
agree.
such a big moment, like big reason that this any of this raid works at all.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
and the
like
reason, the reason that a lot of characters get out alive is because of
because
Izo.
of Izo's sacrifice. Like Izo being here allows Usopp to get away with Kinemon and Kiku. It presumably allows Drake to survive
Yeah.
and maybe Apu as well. It probably gets Luffy alive.
Uh-huh.
And like all of these characters that otherwise don't make it without Kiku, I think or not Kiku, without Izo. I keep mixing
Hmm.
them up in my head for some reason. I guess
Yeah.
they look similar and they are siblings, but I really like Izo here. And I'm
Yeah.
sad that he's dead
Yeah.
because he's very cool. I'm skipping past Hiroshi. I don't want to talk about him.
That's fine. We
I'll
hate
talk.
that
I'll
guy.
talk about him at the end. And then we get back to Luffy versus Kaido, which is
Hmm.
awesome. I love these two fighting. I love the way that these two are like in sync with each other.
Yeah.
They're both laughing. I'm having fun
Hmm.
now. So am I. I think it's really really cool. And their fight here is great. I love that like Kaido
Yeah,
starts to get
the
drunk as he starts to have more fun with the fight. He starts to drink more. He's not taking it
right.
as seriously. I mean, he's taking it seriously, but in the
But
way that
he's
like
but he's
he's
enjoying it now.
enjoying it, which
This
is
doesn't feel like he's not clocked in at like a 9 to 5 now. Now this is what he wants to do.
yeah, in the same sense that like Luffy ends up having more fun when he's trying his hardest. Kaido is doing the
Right.
same thing. And for
And
just for
yeah, I
Kaido,
mean
that means getting drunk.
this fight between these two before the thing happens is like the choreography is really insane.
Yeah, it's really good. The action is awesome. I don't really need to tell you that. And then we get into where things start to get really fucking interesting. Because in the
Hmm.
middle of this fight with Kaido, we cut to Sacred Marishwa, the Red Line. And we have the elders who are
What are
discussing
they
something.
talking about,
There's
man?
what is unfolding in Mono makes pressing matters pressing now. Who could have imagined the battle would become this intense? And at first you think they're just talking about Nico Robin a little bit, right?
Yeah,
And then
but
Zoe is here. Zunisha has arrived.
Zunaisa has. This is where Zunaisa has been walking.
This is where Zunisha has been walking to Wano, and we get intercut with this appearance of Zunisha. The elders That's impossible. That fruit is only a legend, even to us. It is not awakened for centuries upon centuries. I have the biggest smile on my fucking face.
Of course you do.
Then why would the world government bother to give that one specific devil fruit another name? It must be the revive fruit.
Surely it must. Surely it's the
Um,
human fruit that Chopper ate.
it's definitely that human fruit for sure.
Surely it must be that one.
Surely it must be that one. Moving ahead a little bit because I don't have too much to say about these little moments with the crew. I want to move ahead to Kid and Law versus Big
Mm-hmm.
Mom. I love this fight.
Oh, dude, yeah. The fight
This
between
is
Kid Law and Big Mom is so sick.
it's an awesome fight.
I think it gets overshadowed a lot in discourse about Wano
I think it's
because there's so many
so many
because
good fights.
obviously we have the two giant moments for the wings
And then this and then Gear 5 and it's like
yeah,
hard to talk about this fight, but I love this fight. I think really the only thing I don't love about this fight is that I wish there was more time with Kid prior to this fight.
right. Yeah. I
Cuz
wish
I
that we
think
knew who Kid was more
cuz I think
to
part of what's so fun about this fight is the way that this feels like a finishing of an arc for Law.
yeah.
Like all of like Law in post time skip I feel like has been building to this moment and I think it's really
Hmm.
cool in the way that like we have seen Law go from this guy who is basically hopeless about like Doflamingo and like having this whole arc with Doflamingo where he's gone from being this person who is nothing but like spite and rage towards
Hmm.
this one fucking guy who ruined everything for him to actually becoming the person that Corazon wanted him to be,
Right. To have his own
to
dream.
have his own dreams, which he obviously he started his own dream a little bit earlier in Wano, and
Right.
like now having this desire, this dream, this thing to push towards, and to do that he needs to take out Big Mom and he needs to level up, and he does it here too. It's not just the Straw Hats, and I
Right.
really love that
Exactly.
for
Yeah.
Law because for the last when did fucking Punk Hazard start? Like 400 chapters ago, maybe?
Yeah.
For the last
Something like
like
that.
400 chapters, Law has been effectively a crew member, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Obviously
Like
not a crew member. I'm not trying to say Law is a crew member, but he's been a
he's
character
been
that has been around.
on the Sunny at least for a little
He's
while.
been on the
Has
Sunny for a
traveled
while,
with and been aligned with the Straw Hats for all of post time skip effectively.
all the post time skip. So it's really cool to see this being a conclusion for this act of the story for Law. And I feel like at the same time there is something going on with Kid, but we just don't know enough about Kid to say what it is that's changing
Yeah.
with him. And I
Right.
imagine it's something similar to Law, but I would like to hope that we will get more of Kid in the
I
future because
want
I want to
kids'
know who
actual
Kid. I
story.
want Kid's backstory and who Kid was and who Kid is becoming. Because like,
Hmm.
what the
I want
hell
to
was
see. I want to
Kid?
see. I want to see Kid and Killer meet. I want to see what they did before, reaching
Sabaody.
Sabaody.
What did they do that gave them a bigger bounty than destroying Annie's lobby? You know, like I'm
Yeah.
so like other than I guess they just killed people, but like just killing people surely is not as big of a deal as destroying the
Right.
world government.
Taking it.
So
Look, Luffy took out a warlord. I'll say because his bounty didn't go up after killing or taking out
defeating Gecko
Moria.
Moria because they didn't know because Moria
Um,
was a little
but yeah,
sniveling bitch.
took out a warlord, and destroyed Annie's lobby.
Destroyed Annie's lobby and wiped out all of CP9.
Right.
You know, as a result of his actions. So it's kind of crazy, like, what was Kid up to? And I would love to get more of Kid, because the little bits of Kid and Killer we get in this section I adore.
Hmm.
Obviously, I did my whole rant about
Yeah.
Kid and Killer a while ago. That I love this fight. I think it's really cool. I love, especially the end. I love, for one, I think it's cool getting to see more of these fruits awakening, and I hope we get to see some of that with the other Straw
Yeah.
Hats.
Oh yeah.
But I,
The awakening of the Op
Up
and
Up
the
Up and the
magnet
Mag
fruit.
fruit is super cool. And have really interesting powers. I like that Kid can make other people into magnets and like turn them like do all this
Hmm.
crazy stuff. I do not understand what the Awakened Up Up fruit does. It's very confusing.
I really don't get it.
My
It's
it
like
he can
just
put the room into his sword. That's about as much as
uh-huh.
I understand. Did the thing he did at the end with the silence, is that part of the awakening? I don't know.
I don't
Unclear.
know.
But I love that Law finishes this fight with Corazon's power and not
Oh yeah.
the the
That
op fruit that was sort of thrust onto him by Doflamingo's like maliciousness,
mm-hmm.
right? I love
Yeah.
that it's like, hold on.
Okay.
Okay. I just love that like he is able to actualize in this way and defeat an emperor, something that's so big, so impossible. Obviously with the help of Eustace Kid, but by
Right.
using the power of effectively his dad, right?
Yeah, right.
And I think it's really cool. The action in this fight is also awesome, which I don't have to
Oh
really
yeah, I
tell
mean
you.
yeah, it's just incredible.
Go read it, go watch it. It looks
The
amazing.
damned punk shooting a fucking giant orbital laser down,
Yeah, after
shooting
Law
Big
makes
Mom
like a
into the
hole in the earth.
yeah, and then using the silence bubble so that Prometheus and Hera can't hear
Can't
him,
hear her.
can't hear
Yeah.
her to save her.
And I love the
Her
way.
like whole actual soul coming out as like a stand to fight with her.
Oh, it's so awesome. This fight is super, super cool.
It's so
And
sick.
I think that this fight will become retroactively cooler when we get more of Law and Kid in the future.
Yeah, absolutely.
I also love that like she does the life or slavery thing, and
Hmm.
all of like Kaido's pirates and some of like the Kid and Heart pirates are like getting their souls sucked out, and Kid and Law are unaffected because they're not afraid
Hmm.
of her anymore. Is
Yeah.
super cool. And the badass lines from both of them as they're beating her.
Hmm.
Why should we be afraid of the weak words of some old hag who's outlived her welcome? I can only imagine how hideous your death scream will be. Oh,
Oh,
it's so cool. Oh, and the silence. Oh, I just love it. I love it so much. The art
yeah.
is so amazing. Uh, I also it's just kind of funny as Big Mom is being sent into the
Yeah,
core of the
like
earth,
they're like on the top floor. So Big Mom gets
like
pummeled through the
through the
entirety of
floors. And
Onigashima.
I love this shot of like her going past Yamato, and Yamato's like,
Yeah.
Big Mom, why isn't she making any
Huh?
noise? And then Big Mom goes past another floor. Oh, it's
Yeah.
so good. Um, and I love that we get this little moment too with Big Mom
Hmm.
and her own thoughts. Hey Roger, why'd you have to go and say that? You got the whole world in on this great era of piracy. Easy for you, you're dying. But when those kids rise up all over the world, we'll be the ones who have to deal with them. Just tell us about the One Piece before you die. Does it exist? It better. Ugh.
Mm. Yeah.
What is it? Where is it? So it's in this country too, isn't it? I'm so close. Kid Law, they'll pay for this. Don't you dare assume that this'll kill me.
Yeah, man. No, actually, I feel like I do want more from Big Mom now. Now that I'm remembering
Yeah, right.
that line, because I kind
Also,
of forgot that Big Mom is like has like a broken psyche,
yeah.
and like I feel like I want to see Lin Lin have I want her to have like a happy ending, which is a weird thing to say.
Weird thing to say about someone as like horrifically evil as Big Mom is.
Yeah, but like Big
But
Mom
like
and Lin Lin aren't the same person in my
exactly.
brain.
Yeah. But I really love this fight. I wish I had
Yeah,
more to say about it.
just
I guess
other
I,
than
I
just like it's really
it's
cool.
really cool. I mean I said my piece about Law at least.
Yeah.
I also adore that this ends with the giant like nuclear explosion of Big Mom hitting
Mm-hmm.
the ground and nobody in Onigashima noticing because it's in the silent room is so
Right.
cool. It's
Oh.
super cool.
Oh, I guess so. I guess he can just like apply his room to other things.
Things maybe,
Because
but
like
then
it looks
how
like
does the
it looks like it's
silent thing work?
applied to Big Mom here. Like the room
Maybe.
is around her.
I don't know. Maybe that's
I
how
don't
it
know.
works.
It's the
Regardless,
op
it's
fruit.
awesome.
It doesn't need to make sense. But yeah, we then get more with
More
Zunaisha.
Zunaisha, who's come to join the fight at your side. He's talking to Momonosuke,
Hmm.
who is able to communicate with him still. I'm maybe still convinced. I have more thoughts. I'll save my thoughts on the weapons for when we get a little bit more at the end.
Yeah.
Um, I also think it's interesting here, and we get more of this later with Momo about how he does not wish to open the borders yet.
Yet.
Am I
Yeah.
simply a coward, Yamato?
Hmm.
And I think it's really interesting the way that, and I'll get into this later, but you know what? I can get into it a little bit now. That
Okay.
Momo is like, he wants to understand why Odin wanted to open the borders. He
Right.
doesn't want to just blindly follow it. He wants to realize why and make that decision himself.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to make the decision just like his father was able to make the decision. After his father learned of the truth of the world, he made that decision.
Mm-hmm.
And that decision was there to open the gates of Wano for Joy Boy's return. And he certainly returns, but he's not yet
Mm,
returned to Wano.
yeah,
He's
which
leaving
is
Wano. So,
weird.
because he's gonna come back to Wano, baby. He's gonna come
He's
back, and Yamato's gonna get on the ship. Okay, let me keep going.
no, I did like I think that I've seen a lot of people be like a little bit disappointed with how Wano ends, and I'm always like, guys, we're coming back. Like it's not done.
Yeah, we're not done with Wano yet. I think.
Wano's not a is not a finished story.
Yeah, I mean, neither is Whole Cake. A lot of these places, the last
Yeah,
two have not been finished stories.
yeah,
Ugh. Um, do we want to talk all about Komonosaki now, so we don't have to talk about her in the
yeah.
middle of Gear Five,
Let's talk
or do
about
we want to talk?
Komonosaki.
I guess
I mean,
Hiyori,
Hiyori.
or do we want to wait
No,
until the very end when she actually finishes off Orochi?
I mean, we could just do it now.
I think we could do it
I'm fine
now
with doing it
because
now.
there's so much other shit going on at the end that I don't want
Yeah,
to have to
exactly.
intercut with this. I love this section
This,
with Hiyori.
yeah, everything with Hiyori here being her own Susanoo
Yeah,
in,
is
I mean, I guess kinda,
kind
sorta,
of. I mean,
but
technically, I think what Denjiro cuts the head off, but she's the
yeah,
one that beats him, right? She's the one
yeah,
that beats
exactly.
Orochi at the end, and like just everything about this whole thing, like explaining that she was wearing the mask every time she played this song because it's the song that she used to play with Oden, and so every
Right, and
time
so
she
she would
plays it, she
cry.
cries, and so she has to wear the mask so that they don't see her crying, and then
Hmm.
like revealing that her father was Oden to Orochi as he's like crushed under the rubble and begging her to let him out,
Right.
and then like he thinks he's got like her beaten and trumped because Kanjiro's like lingering destructive will is coming back to him, but
Hmm.
it's coming back to him because it's like it's failed its mission and it lights him on fire.
Right. As the to finally end the Kurozumi clan.
Yeah, to finally end the Kudazumi clan with the finale of an amazing line, an amazing shot where Hiyori with her like fans out the Kudazumi are meant to burn or something. I think is what she
Yeah, yeah,
says.
yeah.
Is so awesome as like a parallel to obviously the Odin is born to boil
Right.
in a way that like we have achieved victory over this piece of shit. And I love that it is Hiyori that gets to do it.
Right.
And that she
You would
gets to
also
be
ask last time who was it who saved the samurai? It was Hiyori.
it's just it does not look like her in that
I
silhouette at all.
understand
It
that it
really does
looks
not look
like
like her.
ears with
It
like the
looks like
weird ear
Anaru,
lobey
not
things.
her at all.
It is Hiyori who
I
does
was
it
looking at
though.
that silhouette earlier today. It does not look like her. I am willing to accept that it's the case, but
I don't like
maybe
it.
maybe in the anime it's obvious that it's her and the hair is blue or
Hmm.
something. But it really doesn't look like hair. It looks like ears. It doesn't look like her at all. Anyways, um we move a little bit further. One of the CP0 guys, I forget what his name is, but after Izo stalls him from being able to go deal with Nico Robin, he gets a new order from Rob Lucci. And I think it's interesting that Rob Lucci is like ordering this guy around
Yeah.
because earlier in this section we were told that the CP0 members with the masks are the higher ranked ones,
Yeah, I don't
and Lucci
know.
does not wear a mask.
Maybe it's just that Lucci is like not on the
Him
scene and so is getting
and
like
getting like his
or
face
getting
shown for the
orders from I'm just
from
thinking like
maybe. I mean, I guess he's relaying orders from the elders, right?
yeah, right.
But I just
So
think it's interesting that
maybe, but I
Lucci
don't
is the
know.
one relaying it. I don't know. I mean, I guess there was the shot of Lucci with the mask back in one shot of Dressrosa, but like
Hmm.
he hasn't worn the mask since. Anyway, but they get a new order to eliminate Straw Hat Luffy at once.
Hmm.
And I love he's like, are you kidding me? That's impossible. Do you know he's fighting Kaido, right? You want me to interrupt with Kaido? That's
Yeah.
impossible. They know it's impossible.
What is this guy's name? I remembered his name at
He
one
has a
point.
name. I don't remember what it is. Oh, isn't his name Guernica?
Yeah, Guernica.
Which I think is which Side note, really interesting to name him Guernica because I as a Xenoblade head, there's a character in Xenoblade named Guernica.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and in that, the thing that's interesting about Guernica is that he represents sort of what the painting Guernica represents, which is like one of the most famous anti-war paintings of all time.
Oh, interesting.
So I think it's really strange to name this fucker
Yeah,
Guernica,
this like dog of the
the
military
dog of the military of
of
the
the world
gods,
government.
after and like a super famous anti-war painting is a strange decision.
That is really
Maybe
interesting.
there's two more to it than I'm realizing. Maybe not. I don't know. That's all I really have to say about him. But
Cool.
we move up to the thing, right?
Uh-huh.
We move up to the thing. The victor needs no epithet.
No,
Um,
he doesn't.
as Kaido and Luffy are reaching like the climax of their fight against each other,
Mm-hmm.
and they're both going for one of, if not their strongest hits they've got, and Luffy gets grabbed,
Mm-hmm.
Iron Body, and he's killed by Kaido.
Distracts Luffy for just
Just
a
a
second.
second, and Kaido kills him,
He,
presumably.
I am 100% convinced that Luffy does die here.
Yeah, or if he doesn't kill him, so close to dead that he might as well be.
Right.
And the look of despair on Kaido's face in this shot
Is so
is
powerful.
like gut wrenching for a character
Yeah.
who you hate at this point, right? Like
Right.
Kaido was
You I
evil.
fucking hate Kaido. But you just see this you just see like because we had just talked about how he was finally having fun again fighting Luffy.
He's finally striving towards being who he wants to be again. He's finally striving towards
Right.
joy and is robbed away from him again,
Mm-hmm.
just like it was 20 years ago, and just like it's been for however long he's been doing this pirate business.
Right. And
Crushed as Luffy is defeated.
you just can see his eyes like the like veins in his eyes like shaking. His pupils look like dilated. He is distraught.
Yeah, absolutely, just completely
Mm-hmm.
defeated by this moment.
I do love in the next little bit after this happens, Kaido just looks to Guernica and is like, "So you know what happens now, right?
Yeah, and then he kills him.
So you got. Do you
You,
want like?
yeah, and this moment too of like, I don't hear Luffy's voice anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You're prepared for what happens next, and then he kills Guernica,
Just decimates this guy.
and Kaido
Kaido
comes
comes
down. He
down.
boasts, "Straw Hat Luffy is dead." And
There's
you have
anyone
this.
else who wishes to challenge me,
You
step
step forward,
forward.
and you have the differing reactions from people, like even like Kid and Law. Kid who seems to
Right,
hate Luffy, and Law who pretends to hate Luffy,
right.
are like, "Damn, it's over. Like we lost.
Yeah.
That like it's actually like we did all
Like
that, and
I
it's for
love this
nothing."
line from Kid. It says it was a short-lived dream, saying that like Kid really did put his hope in
If
Luffy.
yeah, he was
Like
believing in Luffy's dream for even a
exactly.
moment. He got beaten, and
And then we
I
get the
love
reactions of the
the
crew.
crew, and that Nami. I love that Nami is the first one to shout out against Kaido. There's no way Luffy lost. He's
Right.
not dead. That's ridiculous. And I like that Kaido respects it too. At
Mm-hmm.
least one of you has some moxie.
Because we've seen Luffy over and over again for no character more than Nami is the miracle worker.
Yeah.
He consistently is the one who is putting his life on the line to save this crew and has seen it more times than anyone else. Nami is the one who cannot believe that Luffy is dead. That he
Yeah.
would go back on a promise by dying.
I'm just gonna move a little faster forward if you don't
Yeah,
mind,
that's
because
fine.
I think it's time Momonosuke, I can hear it. How long it's been. I hear the drums of liberation. For the first time in 800 years, he is here. Who
Who's
is?
here?
Joy Boy has returned.
Ah.
Holy shit, bro, are you kidding me? Look at this! Oh my god, I can't believe
Oh
this
my
fucking moment.
god,
Can
dude.
you imagine? I'm sure many of you maybe were reading this weekly at this point. I cannot imagine waiting a week on this moment. That is
Oh my god.
insane.
Yeah, I had
You had
contemplated
toyed around with the idea of making me wait a week on this
making
moment.
this
I'm glad
the
you didn't.
the end of a section, but I just couldn't do it to him, guys.
Joy Boy has
Has
returned.
returned. You see Luffy's hair go white. He looks like Sid the Science Kid,
Shut up. And he's grinning.
and he's smiling.
And we move into the next chapter. What happened to me? Why can I still stand? Even though I lost, I'm having fun for some reason. And in the anime does this is such an amazing job with this, because in the manga you get the little the onomatopoeias of the music playing, but the
Mhm.
actual hearing the drums of liberation
Drums. Oh my
is
god.
awesome. And like the way that Luffy hears it too, like Luffy hears
Mhm.
the drums that we hear
His
in the
own
anime
heartbeat.
is his own heartbeat, and Zunesha hears it and Luffy hears it, and like it's audibly hearable.
Mhm.
Even like in the fight, I think, like when he's fighting Kaido later, like
Yeah.
Luffy's like, oh, man, my heartbeat sure sounds funny.
Yeah.
And it's so, oh my god. As
It's just incredible.
and so
And then we get
we cut
back
to
to the
Mari
Gorosei.
and so we cut back to Marihua. In every era, the world government has attempted to recover the gum gum fruit, and not once has it ever succeeded for 800 years. It is though the devil fruit itself is trying to escape our grasp, and it very well might be. Zoan fruits contain a will of their own, and this particular fruit has the name of a god. The other name of the gum gum fruit is the Zoan type human fruit, mythical type, model, Nika.
Nika.
Oh my god.
Holy shit, dude.
Holy shit.
So,
So?
so
I can't believe this. This shit is crazy to me. And the craziest thing is that Oda has known this for possibly since chapter 1.
yeah.
That this has been the plan. And that's the craziest part to me.
Mm-hmm.
Is that like at least by Jaya, this was set in stone.
Yeah.
And
or at
is
least
probably
was set in
before
stone
that.
enough for some people to be able to guess.
Right. And I mean, I have had moments. I was not fully in on the sun god idea for a long time, right? I think I was in on it a little bit like a section or two ago when we got it brought up with Jinbei's fight.
Uh-huh.
But with the whole thing I had mentioned about Luffy becoming the sun or achieving the sun in this section, how fucking much more I didn't realize how right I could have been.
Yeah, how literally
How
right
literally
you were.
right I was. I thought we were just gonna do like a metaphorical sun thing.
Way so far back, I remember you asking the question, well, like if Blackbeard is darkness, how is Luffy the counterpart when he's
He's
just made of
just different. He's made
rubber?
of rubber. I did say that.
Why does darkness relate to rubber?
How does darkness relate to rubber? It's because he's not made of rubber, dumbass. I mean, I
Nope.
guess he is. He's a
I mean, yeah,
rubber-like body.
yeah,
Properties of rubber.
he
Rubber and
is
gum.
made of rubber, but he's made of rubber because so was Nika.
Because so was the sun god. The warrior of liberation.
Yup. What the
It
hell?
is said that in all the world there is no power more ridiculous.
Ridiculous. The perfect way to describe this.
And then a giant, comically large hand grabs Kaido and yoinks him up to the roof again.
Uh-huh.
As Luffy cannot stop laughing. And this is the thing that really, this is I think, of all the many awesome things about Gear 5, I think my favorite part is that Luffy doesn't stop laughing.
Yeah, it almost seems like he like physically cannot stop laughing.
laughing. And like he never stops moving. He's always like, and it's like before with Gear 4 he couldn't stop moving because he had to bounce.
Mm-hmm.
But like now he's like just constantly, he's so free. Why would
Right.
he ever sit still? And like everything he's doing, he's having so much fun that he
Yeah.
can't stop laughing. And I love it.
It's beautiful.
And like just the idea of making Luffy's ultimate power being like Toon Force rubber hose animation
Uh-huh.
physics is amazing. It's
It's
genius.
incredible.
It's a genius idea. And like I love that the first thing Kaido says upon after he gets like spun around like a chew toy,
Mm-hmm.
Straw Hat, you survived. Thank you.
Yeah. He's so hype.
And then he shoots a laser and Luffy, the eyes popping out of his head, he
Mm-hmm.
pulls up the ground, and like just the way that he is able to do the impossible and make it
Right.
real, because anything that he can think of is real, is
Right.
so interesting. He's truly free, and I
Truly
love it
free.
so
Can fight
fucking
in the
much.
most free way.
In the most freeing way possible, the most ridiculous power possible.
Mm-hmm.
An embodiment of freedom and liberation. A physical manifestation of the freeing will that I was talking about this whole arc,
Right?
brought to the physical forefront as he awakens the power of the human fruit
Of a
that he ate.
god.
Awakens the power of a god. So it's question time, right?
Yeah.
This shit raises so many questions.
So
Did
what's up
Shanks
with
know?
did Shanks know?
Did Shanks know?
Did Shanks know?
Did Shanks know?
Did Roger know?
Did Roger know?
Who knew?
Who knew?
Does
Did,
Rayleigh know?
does Rayleigh know? Maybe. It's very possible that Rayleigh knows. Is there an actual gum gum fruit out there somewhere?
I think that'd be so funny to meet the guy who actually has the gum gum fruit
Yeah.
and has just been like, what the fuck? This
What the
guy,
fuck?
he's stealing my whole flow.
That's my whole. How is he
I'm the
doing
captain
that?
of the rubber
I'm
pirates.
the
What's
captain
going
of the rubber pirates. Like, there, like, was I guess you know what? Now seems like a good a time as any to get into my idea about fate,
Okay.
because
Yeah, I think this is
I
about
think
it.
one of my questions about Luffy in this moment is: was he fated to be here? Was he fated
Uh-huh.
to be Joy Boy and to make it to
And
this point?
how do you integrate a concept like fate while keeping the theme of
Of freedom.
freedom?
And I think so the conception I have come to with fate in One Piece is not that any specific people's actions and things like that are set in stone. I
Mhm.
think instead there are certain events that are fated to happen. And I think I
Mhm.
get to this conception from the language that Oda has used, in that like the world is waiting for the dawn. I
Yeah.
think that there are these things that can happen, and the world is
Mhm.
waiting for them to happen.
Mhm.
And it is a matter of time until somebody chooses to make them happen. And I think that is what
Interesting.
you see here. I think that Luffy awakening like this, and the reason that nobody has awakened in 800 years is that nobody has had the will to do it
Mhm.
until Luffy. And so I think that begs the question of, if the fruit itself has a will, did it choose Luffy?
Did it?
Did it, because like how much control does this fruit have? Because I think
Mhm.
there is a point where you can say it's just it's just chance that Luffy is the one that ate it, and I think
Right.
that's not the case.
I don't. Yeah, I agree. I don't think that it
I
is
think that
simply coincidence.
in my conception, I am imagining the world is trying to create an opportunity where the one who has the will to become Joy Boy needs to be put in the position that they can be. And we go back
Mhm.
to the whole thing about how I've said that maybe Roger couldn't do X or Y because he didn't have time. What if Roger discovered that this existed at the end?
Mm.
And that to go
Yeah.
further, to achieve whatever this shared dream that Roger and Luffy have, you need to be Joy Boy.
Right.
even if
Interesting.
it's a silly, stupid, childish dream, the
Right.
only way to make it happen is to be the Joy Boy. And so, what if
I mean, yeah.
the world has been waiting for its Joy Boy? I mean, Zunisha has been waiting for 800 years.
Zunisha absolutely
So,
has been
what if
waiting.
the whole world and fate has been waiting for somebody to become Joy Boy again? And so, what if
Interesting.
the fruit has been trying to make that happen?
Right.
And
It's been, I
so,
mean, we know that it has been evading the world
it
government.
has been evading the world government. So, what if it evaded the world government until it could get captured in the East Blue so that
Hmm.
Shanks could steal it? And since Shanks was with Luffy, so it would be near Luffy, and then Luffy would eat it because Luffy was the one who had the will and the time to become
Right.
Joy Boy.
Oh man, I love that.
But is it possible that the fruit could do that? What if that's what Roger told Shanks way back when? Because we saw he said something to Shanks and he said
Yeah.
something to Rayleigh. What if the thing he told Shanks was, "Hey, there is this fruit. You need to get it and give it to the person who is supposed to have it." And what if Shanks intentionally left it out such that Luffy would eat
Right.
it?
Yeah.
It's still possible that it was an
Oh.
accident and that after he ate it is when Shanks realized, and that's why he gave him the hat, was he realized that he was the one who could do it, seeing Rayleigh or seeing Roger in Luffy as he tells to
Hmm.
Rayleigh. And what if he
Yeah.
said
Yeah,
to,
we
to
don't. We don't know.
Rayleigh, you need to
We don't
make
exactly know
whoever this next
when.
person is, you have
I
to
was saying
make
we
them
don't know
capable?
when, or when Shanks found out what Luffy's dream was.
Yeah.
So it could have been
It could have been
before or after.
before or after, so it's unclear there. And like maybe what he told Rayleigh was there is going to be someone in 20 years and he is going to be the Joy Boy. You need to prepare him. What if that was Rayleigh's task that Roger left
Right.
him? And that's what he
Yeah.
did. Is possible. Why else would he swim to Amazon Lily? You know? Like why would he
Yeah.
didn't have to do that.
Why would he set up shop
At
in Saba
Saba
Odi?
Odi of all places. A place where there's a
Unless
lot
he
of
unless it
government
was a place he
influence,
knew that it was a place that every pirate would
that
have to
every
come
pirate who
through.
had the potential to be Joy Boy would have to go through.
Ooh.
Anyways, none of these questions have an answer,
Nope.
obviously. But I love, 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 love Gear 5.
Hmm.
I think it's awesome. It's visually amazing. The anime does such an awesome job.
And I think it's also from like a narrative standpoint, really, really important because as the story has been getting, more into its later stages, we've had to keep getting more serious and serious and serious. And now, no matter how bleak and absurd the despair we go through becomes, we will always have Gear 5 as Luffy's final transformation, as his final push in any arc, to always have that sort of silly,
The
joyful
silly, joyful energy.
energy that this story is so known for and is so prominent throughout this whole series. We are fighting a giant dragon who has enslaved an entire country,
And
and
he's
yet
being
Luffy
beaten
is
by
is
Bugs Bunny.
is bouncing on the rocks like it's a trampoline, using it like a jump rope.
Yeah, using him like Gum Gum jump rope. And
And
like,
just it's so perfect for this story.
it's so perfect for this story. And it is such like an extension of the thing that Oda said in SBS however long ago it was about how he gave Luffy these powers because he never wanted to get too serious.
Right.
And it feels to me like he was getting too serious, so now it was finally time to bring out Gear 5.
Mm-hmm.
And I love it.
Yeah.
Also,
It's
I,
just
I want to
perfect.
give props to Kaido for pointing out that it's a Zoan type fruit.
Mm-hmm.
However, I was thinking about this last night as I was going to sleep. We've seen paramecia that transform bodies. What is
Have
the
we?
is the Big Father a Zoan type fruit? What about when
Well,
fucking
that's no, no,
Hawkins
no.
turns himself
Kaido's
into a
Kaido's saying that this sort of
Oh, this sort
like
of
this sort
transformation
of visual transformation
with like
from
the
awakening is the
okay,
trademark of Zoan
okay.
types.
I was misunderstanding. I was just thinking like, what is stop? Like, what is the Big
Oh
Father? Like,
no.
what about the straw guy? He does that too, but
No.
it's
He's
really
saying like
interesting.
which is which we find out through this. This is also how we know that Yamato's fruit is
Is
awakened because
awakened.
they
Also,
have
isn't
the
Kaido's? Kaido has one too.
I don't believe Kaido is awakened. He doesn't have the
Doesn't he? He has like
Hagoromo.
the flame thing, doesn't he? Isn't this one a Hagoromo? Or at
I
least it
don't think
kind of
so.
looks like one.
I think it's just flame clouds.
Maybe it's just flame clouds. Anyways, I love this fight.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much crazy shit that Luffy does in this fight. Like when
He
he reaches his hands through Kaido's eyes to pull himself out.
I don't like that one.
And that
That
that sort
one
of becomes his new trademark is like punching through somebody but not to create a hole in them by stretching them because now
yeah.
they're made of rubber too.
Mm-hmm. And he goes Gum Gum Giant and grabs the lightning out of the
Yeah,
sky.
Gum Gum Lightning, Gum Gum Jump Rope. Oh my god, it's just so
Just
awesome.
so many of these crazy attacks. Like I think I talked about this when we were watching it. Like these crazy wacky attacks of that like Luffy did a lot of earlier on when he was still, the biggest fish in the East Blue. And he could get away with it, but now he has had to get more and more like refined in the way he fights and more serious. But now with Gear 5, he can fight however he wants, do his weird wacky bullshit and have it be effective.
Yeah,
It's perfect. It's perfect.
it's
How
so
does he
awesome.
do it? It's perfect.
It's so awesome. I love one of my favorite moments of the many awesome moments in this fight is there's a moment where Luffy does some big attack to
Hmm.
Kaido, and Kaido gets like fucked up by this attack, and Luffy like barely able to get it out through laughter is like, I don't know what to call that one yet, Kaido. What do you think? You got any suggestions? Like he's having
Yeah.
so much fun and having creating so many new moves so fast that he runs out of names to call them.
Right.
It's so amazing.
It's
And the
incredible.
way that like because of Kaido killing Luffy, that Luffy is able to achieve this goal that Kaido has been striving to for so long
Hmm.
is just it's awesome. It's truly awesome.
Hmm. Isn't this
It
fun,
is fun,
Kaido?
Kaido.
Oh my god, I love this shit so much.
Yeah, here it is. What do you
Uh,
think? I should call that last one. Gum Gum what? As he's bouncing around and you can hear the drums of his heartbeat.
hmm.
I have one question. Who are you? Is such a cool question.
Yeah. Which I
As
think is really important also because I remember at the time that this was coming out in the manga, a lot of people were worried that like this was Luffy being like actually possessed by Joy Boy.
Joy Boy and not like Luffy being Luffy.
And so to have this directly said in the text, I am Monkey D. Luffy, the man who will surpass you and become king of the pirates, still in the Gear 5 form, just cements that no, this is absolutely still Luffy.
Yeah. It's awesome.
It's
I
just
don't know.
I mean
I
like it's hard it's so hard to put into words.
it's really hard to put into words how wonderful this section is with Luffy
But
in Gear 5.
anyone who has read this, you also know
Yeah.
it's just it's immaculate. It's the perfect thing that could have happened for this section.
Yeah. There is no section of the story that could have been better to awaken Gear 5 than this one.
Hmm.
It's
Um,
so wonderful. I want to get a little further into the fight. I don't have much to say about these little intermittent parts we get.
yeah.
Um cuz there's yeah, it's I guess it's in the next volume after Luffy says Onigashima is going to fall.
Hmm.
I'm sorry, Momo. I want to talk about Luffy.
We'll get back to Momo. I think we have a little bit more on
Yeah,
Momo.
but we get this just a bunch of great moments between Kaido and Luffy.
Yeah,
Abilities
I love
alone
that
cannot conquer
panel.
the world. The
I
world is
love this
convenient that
panel of
way.
him slamming Luffy into the ground, and then the ground caving around Luffy as he's getting
Luffy,
pummeled in.
yeah, uh, tr- caving in like a trampoline, and then he bounces
Mm-hmm.
back up. Roger didn't have any fruit powers. Only Haki can transcend all.
Mm-hmm.
And then Luffy, where is it? I want to see the moment when Luffy has like, because there's a moment where we're sort of yeah,
Oh, the big fist.
the big fist. I'm gonna put an end to all this, but Onigashima in the way, so move it. Do it, Momo. I believe in you. Ah,
That's
awesome.
it's such a and
Luffy's like, you got to do it now.
look at how fucking big this fist
Yeah, this
is.
fist is unbelievably big.
We know how big Kaido is.
Yeah,
We know how
it's a
big
lot
Onigashima
bigger.
is. It's this fist is almost the same size as Onigashima.
Yeah, it's
It's
just
ridiculous. And then
yeah, very well then. I will take your punch. Tell me, Straya, did you know that 20 years ago the hero of this country was burned to death? Ever since this has been a lawless place, and now you were the heroes they've been waiting for 20 years for. That giant fist will not come down on me. I will melt it into nothing first. As they both clash, they're both
Mhm.
not of dodging.
Yeah. Ugh.
It's so
It's
cool.
it's just so good, man. I'm sorry. I wish I had like analysis on this,
I do too. I wish I had analysis, but I wanna.
but I'm
Where is the?
just
Here we go.
keep.
This is the moment I was looking for. Is the
Mhm.
world that should be? Is this moment? Yeah, I just want to read some of this. You fought
Yeah.
hard to reach this point, but you cannot change the world. And then we get to Kaido's backstory. Do we want to talk about Kaido now?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, let's talk Kaido.
So
You start. You can start on Kaido.
I think Kaido as a character was. It always felt like he was missing something until this moment with his backstory. Like we knew a little bit about Kaido. Like he he maybe he wanted to be Joy Boy, maybe something or other. But until this, we really didn't have any idea of who Kaido was, right?
Yeah,
We find out that Kaido was 15 when he got recruited by the Rocks Pirates. We see him we see him after the Rocks Pirates disband going to Fullaled, the pirate island, to presumably to what does it say here? And more apparently okay. Why did he go to Fullaled? Am I missing?
I think he just takes it over because he's the
I
biggest,
think.
baddest pirate.
I guess, yeah.
And then he gets approached by the
The
clone lady.
Kurozumi hag.
Yeah, who tells him about all the weapons that he can get on Wano.
Right. Yes. Yeah. That's it. Um. But Kaido alone, like I said, is not the most interesting character. But Kaido, in his relationship with King, with Albert, is so powerful as the foil to Luffy and Zoro.
Yeah,
Right. We it's pretty. I mean, it's laid out in the text pretty overtly of like Kaido rescuing King from Punk Hazard in the same way that Luffy rescues Zoro from Captain Morgan's base.
yeah,
Um, the same thing of like I have to be the strongest for my captain, the same in the same way that they both have that. And but King has this sort of other reverence for Kaido of him needing to be Joy Boy,
yeah,
but never being able to reach that height.
yeah.
Kaido telling King, the
I
I
think I
can't be
know who
Joy.
Joy Boy. I think I know who Joy Boy is,
Right,
and I think it's he says that something along the lines of the person who will be Joy Boy is the person who will defeat me.
right. And then
And
King
King's
says, "Well, I guess we'll never see Joy Boy then."
is just so interesting. He like
right?
just the way that Kaido wanted to achieve, and this is sort of, I guess, in a way, what I had talked about a little bit with Law and Kid, of like before with a lot of villains who were more like Crocodile, the thing that's most interesting and most scary about the villain is how they differ from Luffy. The
Right.
thing that's most interesting to me about Kaido is how similar he is to Luffy.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm not as interested in his oppression and like the way that he has
Hmm.
impacted Wano, and more in the way that doing that has failed himself
Right.
and failed. I mean, in this moment when he is crying out to the Beast Pirates in Full Lead about going to Wano, he says that's what I call equality and freedom, a world where only
Hmm.
war decides a man's true worth. And then he spends 20 years sitting in a chair oppressing people and doing nothing,
Right.
stagnating.
Becoming this husk of the man that King still believes him to be.
Yeah. And I really hope we get to see more of Kaido because I feel like having lost to Joy Boy,
Right.
what does that bring out of Kaido is
Hmm.
really interesting to me.
Are we going to get a same sort of like in a very crocodile-esque way of like a revitalization of his dream of like go actually trying again?
Yeah, trying to be the king of the pirates again,
Hmm.
truly trying.
Right.
And while we're here, I want to talk about one of my questions that I have, and this is not a question I have any sort of answer to. Why is King waiting for Joy Boy?
um. Yeah.
It's a very interesting thing they bring up multiple times is that he is waiting for Joy Boy's return.
Hmm.
Is this
Um.
something to do with the Lunarians? Maybe it's something to do with the Sky People generally?
I don't know.
Because the only other person that's waiting for Joy Boy is Zunatia, and he's 800 plus years old. King is
Yeah.
not. So, like, what is it? Why is it that King is waiting for Joy Boy
Right.
is so fascinating to me. I don't understand it because we don't. I mean, there's no answer, right? Like we don't know
Right.
why.
All we know about Joy Boy, or all we know about Nika, is that they were made of rubber. They were worshipped by the slaves, and that they were the warrior of liberation.
Yeah, and that's all we know about Nika, and we know even less about the Joy Boy from 800 years ago, other than that he
Right.
we know that he existed and that he was
Was
in
friends
some
with the
friends
mermaid
with the
princess.
Mermaid Princess, and that is basically it. And we know that Roger laughed when he heard the end of his story.
Yeah,
That's all we know.
that's it.
Um, And so, like, I'm wondering, is it that King heard of Joy Boy when he was imprisoned on, I guess, it was Punk Hazard, right?
Yeah,
And maybe that's why he's waiting for Joy Boy. But I feel
maybe.
like that's just too simple. I feel like there's
Hmm.
something to do with the Lunarians, especially since they are people who are supposedly from the Red Line, but are not there anymore because of the Celestial Dragons, and are maybe like some sort of gods, but not anymore, and they've been usurped by the celestial dragons. It's all just it's so many things that have I have
So
no
many
answers.
questions.
So many questions, so little answers, right?
Hmm.
Um
Um, and I mean, after this, it's kind of just like the end of the Kaido fight, right?
well, no, I want to get to this moment. This is the moment I was talking about before the
Oh,
thing.
yes.
Is as Kaido and Luffy are clashing, Kaido says, "And what kind of world can you create, Straw Hat? I'll make a world where my friends can eat as much food as they want." As he launches Kaido to the center of the fucking earth
Yeah. In this Kaido-shaped hole.
in this big Kaido shaped hole. And this to me is such a, for one, a beautiful moment for Luffy. It is such a
Yeah.
beautiful encapsulation of this whole arc of like, you know, Luffy's whole his whole motivation, this whole arc has been we are not leaving until you people can eat as much food as you want.
Right. And food just continues to be this like overarching force and factor in all of these arcs. That food is so important to Luffy and to like it seems almost synonymous with freedom.
Yeah. And this moment brings me to a question that is very pressing
Yeah.
because Volume 105 is titled Luffy's Dream or something along those lines.
Yeah.
And there is a chapter in that section, in that volume, that we have not covered yet, that I believe is titled the same thing.
Yeah.
And I have been, wondering since the fucking flashback for Luffy,
Hmm.
what the hell Luffy's dream is. And this whole time, this guy, Misfit over here, has been saying, we don't know.
We don't know.
And there is a non-zero that the whole fucking time he has known and has been saying that bold-faced to me, and I've been none the wiser. And so my question becomes, with it potential, I mean, there is a non-zero that we get to that moment in this upcoming section, and it is another moment where Luffy says it to the, maybe he's going to tell the crew, but he doesn't actually, we don't get to know, is a possibility, right? I mean, we've
Right.
done that a couple times. We did it with Ace and Sabo. We did it with Roger Luffy moment. That's one of my favorite moments in this whole arc. This is so
Yep.
beautifully animated that it makes me cry. But I wonder if is this Luffy's dream right here?
Yeah.
Is he telling it to us now? That what he wants to do is make a world where all of his friends can eat as much food as they want. Because that's certainly a childish dream.
Yeah.
But is it a dream that when you first hear it from a kid like Luffy, you would laugh at? I'm not sure.
I don't know.
I don't know if that's a
Is
dream
it a
that is
dream? Is it a dream that would leave Kozuki Odin stun locked?
stun locked. I don't think so. So I think, and maybe I'm wrong, but
Maybe.
because to me this sort of reads in a way of him giving this ethos, but I feel like this is more of a Luffy bookending Wano
Right.
and bookending his goal in Wano and saying, I want to make this world, this Wano, a land where my friends can eat as much as they want.
Hmm.
Because I don't buy that this statement alone, and maybe there's this plus something else,
Hmm.
is a dream that is grand enough and unbelievable enough to stun Kozuki Odin,
Hmm.
but childish enough to make Whitebeard and Sabo and Ace laugh in his face
Hmm.
when they hear it for the first time. Or maybe not the first time with Whitebeard. I don't know if he'd heard it from Roger before or not.
Yeah, but
Oh,
it's
I want
yeah.
to know. I want to know, and I'm so scared. I'm terrified of the possibility of learning. Is that weird?
Yeah,
It's
right.
we. I'm scared of that question becoming an answered question. Because it's such an unbelievable moment that it will be if it truly does happen. I'm currently operating under the assumption that he is going to tell it to the crew, and the crew has not learned it yet, and we're not going to learn. But maybe I could be
We're
wrong.
not gonna learn it.
That's my current theory because I just don't feel like I have any possibility that I can predict what it is. So I'm just gonna say they're not gonna tell me. And I love the way that Yamato catches Luffy
Hmm.
and comforts Momo. This is incredible, you two. You're incredible. And so we move into the end of Wano. And the moment from uh oh God, what's her
Toko.
name? Toko, thank you. Um Yasui gave this country a fighting chance. And we pan up to the dream, the little wish that she set up, that she crossed out, I want to see, and just replaced it with Daddy, thank you.
Dude.
To warrior, there is no greater honor.
Oh,
This shit is so good, man. This arc is too
dude,
fucking good. You cannot be serious. How does he make a moment like this out of a character like Yasui, who barely
right?
gets any screen time at all? Oh,
It's
oh my
just
god. And it's
It's
just
just insane. It's remarkable. It's
all of these
perfect.
wishes flying into the sky with none of them having the knowledge except maybe Toko that they're
Hmm.
coming true.
Yeah.
This time they're coming true because Luffy defeated Kaido.
Yep.
Ugh.
Oh man.
And then we get the change in Momo where he goes from I don't want to open the borders to I will not open the borders yet.
Right.
Very well.
Which
I
we
will
find
respect
out
your
a
decision.
little bit later why exactly he's telling this to Zunisha. Um, because opening the borders of Wano means destroying the gigantic wall that surrounds Wano.
Yeah. And
So he was telling,
potentially unleashing a weapon.
and so he was telling Zunisha because Zunisha is the only thing that could take down the wall.
Yeah, that's why Zunisha was walking here.
Uh huh.
Is crazy.
It's insane.
Ugh. The final battle in the skies over Wano. And this shot, too, of like
Mm-hmm.
the underwater volcanic eruption caused by Big Mom and Kaido getting launched into the core of the earth. Winner. Straw Hat Luffy.
Hell yeah.
As Momo comes down, all is well, you are not in danger. I am not Kaido. That eruption was the final drumbeat signaling the end of Kaido, supreme commander of the Animal Kingdom pirates. As Lady Hiyori and all of the scabbards come out of the shadows, flanking
Mhm.
their new shogun.
Uh-huh.
I want
Man.
to get to the shogun showing up. Also, this is when we get Yamato meeting the Straw Hats.
Oh yeah.
Because it's easy to forget that the Straw Hats just have not met him yet.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that the way that he introduces themselves is I'm Kozuki Oiden. I'm going to be joining your ship.
He's such a
um,
freak. I love him so
he's
much.
such a freak. I also think it's interesting to me that Jinbei is the one who says it's nice of you to invite yourself, but it's the captain who decides that.
Yeah.
I think it's cute that it's Jinbei who gets to say that. Um, but I want to move. Also, this is the moment where we get Tama like the explanation for her powers and how it's not like just straight up slavery.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. It's still a little weird. I
It's
think
still kind of slavery.
because like I at the end of a month they get to choose whether they want to be slaves forever or go back to being normal. But what's stopping? And it's already brainwashing them. What's stopping them from just being brainwashed into choosing to stay as slaves forever?
Ah.
Nothing? Question mark.
Nothing
Anyways,
question mark? Let's not think
anyways,
about that.
let's talk about Momo.
Momonosuke
20 years have passed since the
Kozuki.
death of my father, Kozuki Oden. I'm so glad that you have survived these long and difficult years. You can drink to your heart's content. And we get, as he, Kaido Orochi, the Animal Kingdom pirates, every evil that plagues our fair land has been vanquished. My father gave me a name that means invincible. Under my rule, this parched and ruined land will turn into a paradise on earth. Lend me your strength and let us work towards this end together. I have traveled 20 years to save you all. From this day on, I, Kozuki Momonosuke, will lead the land of Wano.
Dude, he looks so
He looks
good.
so good with the long hair.
Oh my
Oh, the long hair
gosh.
looks so good on him. And he does. I like that. I mean, they say he looks just like Oden, but I like that he doesn't look like one for one like
Like
Oden.
literally just like he's just
But
obviously you could tell.
yeah, you can tell that he is Odin's son, and you can tell that Hiyori is Toki's daughter,
Right.
and I love it.
It's incredible.
I love Momo. Mother, I will keep my promise. Father, I will follow in your footsteps.
Ugh.
Ugh. And the way that the whole of Wano, nobody other than his closest vassals knows that he's not been on the run for 20 years.
Right. That he is still mentally an 8-year-old.
Mentally an 8-year-old. None of them know.
Mm-hmm.
which is just so he's just so you know? I love him.
Yeah.
I love him so much. And
Um.
then we get back to the guys, the elders,
Mhm.
who are still worried about getting Nico Robin back.
They got no
Um,
idea what's coming.
they got no idea what's coming.
What they just unleashed.
Then we have this interesting moment. I want to talk about Hawkins. And
Yeah.
Hawkins, you know what? I'm going to use Hawkins, who I want to talk about, as a jumping board to talk about the worst generation as a whole.
Yeah. Let's do
Um, because we get this moment with Hawkins and Drake where they're both like beat to shit.
that.
And Hawkins is trying to interrogate him. I thought your divination said you'd be fine as long as you didn't betray Kaido. Um, and we get a flashback to a moment the two of them talking before, where Hawkins had said that a certain man's chance of surviving until tomorrow was 1%.
hmm
And that certain man was himself.
Right.
It's so interesting. And I'm not sure that Hawkins is dead.
I'm not sure of it, but I think of of the characters who I'm not sure of, I feel like I'm most confident that he is, if that makes sense.
I get that. I don't know. To me it feels like if he was dead, his prediction would have said 0%.
Yeah.
Because we've seen him have 0% predictions before. And so him only having a 1% chance to survive, to me, I think that 1% chance is Kaido being defeated.
Maybe.
Is maybe my thoughts. And maybe it's just because, I don't know, I feel like we need a moment with all of the worst generation, right? I think it's something that has to happen.
Yeah.
In my mind, is a moment of all of these people who, because we sort of have a microcosm of that here in Wano, of like this generation of new pirates who are chasing after this dream that Roger put out into the world, and these 12 are the ones who are going to change the world.
Right.
And if there's no moment where all of them are clashing, I feel like it's a missed opportunity to have this
Yeah.
moment where like the generation, the group of 12 people who are most responsible for how the world is going to change forever, all vying and competing for that change at the same time, I think is an interesting moment that I would like to see.
Right.
And if Hawkins is dead, we can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so, sort of springboarding to the rest of the worst generation, there's so many questions about so many of them. Because Apu is just like, he vanishes basically. He
Yeah.
sneaks away, off to do more bullshit, probably. More
Yeah.
swindling,
To
because he's a little
be
shitbag.
the little shit.
Drake is like half dead and maybe the enemy of the world government now? Question mark.
Maybe?
Because he did try to kill CP0 after they tried to kill, because like he found out that CP0 was there, and that meant that they had to kill him, and he's not dead. So he knows about CP0, and as a result, the Gorosei's involvement in all the shit going on in Wano.
Right.
So they might not want him to get that information out. So if he's an enemy of the world government, then he's back to being a pirate. Because it's a little unclear if he was ever a pirate to begin with,
Yeah, what it's still a little
or
unclear
if
what
like,
sword even
or
is.
if he was a pirate in Sabaody and then in the time skip he joined Sword. It's a little unclear what's going on with Drake. But to me, it seems like Drake may now be. Maybe he's not opposed to the world government, but they're opposed to him because he knows about
Yeah,
CP0.
yeah.
And so that's a problem for Drake.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have, I think there's two that are really particularly interesting because basically everybody except for Blackbeard and those two were here.
Right.
And those are Bonnie and Urush.
Yeah.
And I feel like Bonnie is going to happen soon, and part of that is that I know stuff coming up, and part of that is before we started Wano, we set up Bonnie.
Yeah.
And so now that we're post Wano, and we know, we'll get to this in a minute with the Reverie part 4, that Kuma made it out of Marihua with Sabo, and she wanted to save Kuma.
Right.
That something's going on with her and Kuma, and it's probably going to happen soon because we've been told that it happened at the start, or about to happen at the start of Wano, and we told that it happened during Wano. So presumably something like that is going to happen next. Urouge, on the other hand, is a big fucking question mark.
Yeah.
Because we know nothing about him at all. The only thing we know about Urouge is that at some point he went to Big Mom's territory, beat one of her Sweet 4 generals so bad that they became the Sweet 3 generals. And that's it. We know nothing else about him.
Yeah.
So what the fuck has he been doing? What is his deal? What is his plan? What is he tied to? Who is he tied to? Does he have ties to Eneru and the Sky Islands? He's from the sky. Why the hell did he go into Big Mom's territory? He was just chilling on a sky island and was like, oh, hey, Kaido, and didn't do anything about it.
Nope.
What the fuck is his problem? And I know, because I have some future sight, that I'm not going to find out. Because I don't think he's come up from the point of the manga that's happening right now. So what the fuck is up with Urouge? I keep thinking about him because he's just this mysterious element. Why would he even introduce him if we're not going to use him? He's got to have some purpose. But what fucking purpose could it be? Every other member of the Worst Generation has either had a purpose or has things that we know are set up to be a purpose because we know what Blackbeard, like we know where Blackbeard's going, right? Like Blackbeard inevitably has to fight Luffy, and we know that Bonnie has something going on with Kuma, and that's probably happening soon. But Urouge is a big fat fucking question mark. But I would like to see all of the Worst Generation clash or be striving towards the same goal, whether that be the One Piece or something else. Maybe they all are striving for the last poneglyph or something at the same time, like the last road poneglyph. And then maybe Blackbeard isn't participating because he wants the rest of them to kill each other, and then he swipes in and steals it, and then Luffy has to fight Blackbeard after he gets to the One Piece first or something.
Yeah,
it's
something
just something along those lines happening, right?
That seems like something that could happen.
Because that is a course of events that Blackbeard could orchestrate, right?
Right.
So that's most of my thoughts on the Worst Generation. I don't think I have much to say on... Are there any other members that I have something to say about? I'll save Kid and Law for when they are at the end. I think... Is there anybody else? I don't really care about Apu. Hawkins, I think, is not dead. Drake is in dire straits, probably. Luffy and Zoro are off to their next island, whatever that island is. I certainly don't know. Wink. And Blackbeard is... I'll come back to.
Yeah.
Because I have some thoughts about Blackbeard, but I'm going to save those for in a minute. I love that we get... when Zoro and Luffy are waking back up, I love that we get like Momo and Hiyori in a state of normalcy for the first time in 20 years.
Yeah, it's very sweet.
Like, because like we were told that she had these sort of tomboyish tendencies, Hiyori, but we don't see it because she's been playing the fair Oiran of Wano, the most beautiful woman in the land, and the first thing we see of her after Kaido is defeated is she drop kicks Momo, telling him that Luffy is awake.
Yeah.
And I love that Luffy wakes up screaming meat and that Zoro wakes up screaming booze. These two are so stupid. I love them.
I love them.
And their whole interactions. Also, I love that Momo's perv thing is now annoying to Nami. I like that.
It now doesn't work anymore.
It doesn't work anymore. I like that because I don't want to see it ever again.
Yep.
And then we get to the bath. Quick side note, transphobic people cope and seethe. Huge L on your part. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry, actually. Get owned. Because Yamato is in the men's bath and Kiku is in the women's bath. I like that we get whole ass skeleton.
Yeah.
As well. Just a whole ass skeleton. And then we get to the new emperors.
The new bounties for everyone, and then...
Well, not for everyone, just for the emperor. Or for... not everyone, not for the Straw Hats. I hope the Straw Hats get new bounties too, but maybe not in this section anyway. The rest of the Straw Hats, not just Luffy. But I love this moment. I love that, like, everything is falling apart for the elders right now.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Robin got away. The Gum Gum Fruit awakened. Like, all of this shit is happening. And then on top of that, they put out this whole thing to remove the D off of the name, presumably off of Luffy's.
Mm-hmm.
because Laws isn't even there on his before.
Yeah.
But they can't stop fucking Morgans, baby. And so this begs the question, why remove the D?
Especially at this point.
Especially at this point, because
Luffy has already been called the fifth emperor. Like, he's
he's
already a huge
he
deal.
was already called the fifth emperor with the D there with a 1.5 billion berry bounty. If that was not a big enough deal to remove the D from the public consciousness, then what the
Right.
fuck is? Is it just getting to the point of Joy Boy? Did they do that for Roger too? Is that why everybody knows him as Gold
Do they
Roger?
even I guess they do know that he reached Joy Boy, right?
Yeah. Or they assume so.
Because they see the picture.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they see the picture, so they know that he's awake in the fruit. Right.
Mhm.
How the fuck did they get that picture?
A
Oh,
poo?
the cipher pole guy did it and then died. He sent it out as he was dying. I think
Is that what
the
happened?
last message sent out by Cypherpole after they vanished in Wano.
Oh
So it was
shit.
either him or the one that survived because Izo killed
Yeah.
one of them, Guernica died to Kaido, and there was one left.
Oh shit.
But I love that Morgan says, "I won't let them manipulate this narrative. At moments like
Mhm.
these, and the world is in flux, the straight facts are the most fascinating news there is. The Emperors of the Sea, Kaido and Big Mom, defeated. Took no time at all to make its way around the world. Two of the emperors who had ruled over the sea toppled in a single night, and upon three pirate captains, Monkey D. Luffy, Eustace Captain Kidd, and Trafalgar Law, the government placed a shocking bounty of 3 billion berries each."
Mhm.
Ugh. 3
I li-
billion.
I think it's really funny that they all have the same bounty.
Yeah.
Um Probably just to like again try to downplay how important what Luffy is doing is to
Yeah.
them.
But I like that as a consequence of doing that, it pisses off Law and
It pisses
Kid.
off Long Kid.
We're like, what? No, I should have had the biggest bounty. That's bullshit. It's so funny.
Mm-hmm.
And I
And then
love
also,
that.
why is he an emperor?
Yeah,
We're the we're the
I love the
yeah.
different reactions too. I love that Law's like, well, this is gonna be a pain in the ass, and then Kid marches himself all the way to the party in Wano. Why did they
Yeah.
make you emperor, asshole? Is so good. But before we
He's
get to
about
that,
to kill Luffy.
we learned that Odin's dad is not dead and has been the Tengu man the whole fucking time,
Yeah.
which is crazy. I guess I don't know. It's weird to say it's crazy, I guess, because there's so much other crazy shit happening.
Yeah.
Um, but we get a line from Robin. I'm certain that somewhere in this country is the ancient weapon Pluton. The poneglyph in Alabasta said it was here. Which is
Yeah.
crazy, because we never learned what the one in Alabasta said, I don't think, until now, which is insane.
All we know is it said something about Pluton. We
Yeah,
didn't realize it said exactly where it
it was.
was.
All we know is what it didn't say, because she told that to Crocodile.
Right.
God, I forget how many of these. There's so many moving parts. So I want to talk about them one at a time, and they don't go one at a time. Then Ryokugyu shows up. And we actually get him.
Yeah.
I hate this guy. I really hate this guy. I
Yeah,
do not
I'm
like
not
him
a,
at
not a
all.
big fan of
This guy sucks. Um, I think he's interesting. I'll come back to this in a minute
Yeah.
when his big fight happens. I mean, big fight is maybe an exaggeration. I like his powers. I think his powers are cool.
Mm-hmm.
And
He's
I
a
think,
plant Logia.
yeah, he's a like a forest Logia or something like
Mm-hmm.
that. I think he's really interesting, and I think what he has to say about in the story is interesting, but I do hate him.
Yeah.
For obvious reasons. I think it should be obvious because he's like racist and thinks that
Right.
slavery is like the nature of the world or some shit.
Mm-hmm.
I also like
Okay.
that as Kid tries to kill Luffy, he gets lumped into the celebration as Luffy
Yeah.
wraps his arm around his neck. And we
That's
learn
great.
about the new four emperors. This is who they're
Yeah.
calling the four emperors now. Returning members, red-haired Shanks and Marshall D. Blackbeard Teach. And two new members, Straw Hat Monkey D. Luffy and Buggy, the
Boogie,
Genius
the
Jester.
genius jester.
How the fuck did Buggy do this?
What do you mean?
What the
He's the
fuck?
genius
He
jester.
is the Genius Jester. What the fuck did Buggy do to get to this position? What what horrific accident led to this moment that causes Buggy to be here? That like
I mean, we know a little bit.
we know a little bit. We know that he has formed some sort of cross guild and that it
Yeah.
involves Crocodile and Mihawk
Mm-hmm.
and that he's putting bounties out on Marines.
Uh-huh.
But is that enough for him to be an emperor?
Uh,
Maybe?
maybe?
I don't know. Compared to Law and Kid who took out Big Mom together, that seems like a bigger deal than what Buggy's doing. But maybe Buggy
Yeah.
like putting out hits on Marines is like accidentally more of a threat to the world government.
Yeah, right.
Um I don't know. And I want to talk about why I think this set of four is so interesting. Because I
Yeah.
think that this set of four is really interesting because I think holistically and as well, I have this in my notes. I think I wrote it as like as the two, but in pairs. Each of the pairs here is interesting
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
because you have like Luffy and Shanks, so you have like the mentor and the student kind of thing. You have Luffy and Buggy, who is like Luffy's first rival, and this like nothing character in Buggy who's like still popping up even to the point that he's an emperor. And then you have
Hmm.
Luffy and Teach, who are these like polar opposite people with the same like goals.
Right.
And then you have Shanks and Buggy, who are the two kids from Roger's crew. You
Right.
have Shanks and Teach, who are like I also seem like polar opposites, or at least Shanks hates the fuck out of him. And Blackbeard is the one that gave Shanks his scar, and Shanks seems to have beef with Blackbeard. And then Buggy and Blackbeard are like also polar opposites in that Blackbeard is this like ultra maniacal super schemer who's pulled himself all the way up to the top of the world with genius plans, and then Buggy has gotten to the same position by being a dumbass
Yeah.
and failing upward. Like Blackbeard has put in so much effort to get where Buggy has gotten by accident. And then like collectively you have the three kids from Teach and or from Whitebeard and Roger's Cruise and
Hmm.
Luffy. Like this passing on to this in-between generation with Luffy piercing in and interrupting it.
Right.
And I think it's interesting narratively the way that all four of them have weird ties to each other.
It is interesting. I hadn't thought about a lot of that, so I'm still processing.
And then this is I guess calling back to something with Misfit. The other day I asked about who was emperor before Shanks, right? I asked that question.
Hmm.
And the reason I asked that question was because I think there's a parallel here, or I was thinking there was a parallel here with these emperors and the original four emperors, because now you have Shanks, Buggy, Teach, who are this in between generation from Whitebeard and now.
Hmm.
And then you have Luffy, who is a member of the current worst generation, invading it. Whereas before, you had Whitebeard, Kaido, Big Mom as three Rocks pirates being invaded by, at that time, the current generation with Shanks.
Uh-huh. That is interesting.
And so I was wondering if there was somebody else before Shanks that maybe had something else to do with that sort of thing. But I think it's interesting we have three from the previous generation and one from the current generation.
Hmm.
Again.
Hmm.
Paralleled in the same way that we did with the Rocks Pirates and Shanks.
Right.
I don't know if that really means anything, but I think it's an interesting
Yeah,
dynamic going on. And I'm excited
definitely.
to see where we go with the Emperors because I don't know. I want to know what the fuck is up with
There's just a lot.
Shanks. I want to know what Teach is planning,
Uh-huh.
and what the fuck has Buggy been doing? They got him here.
Yeah. I do love that while Ryukyu it does come to like fuck up the Warriors of Wano, he does like reforest a lot of Wano after it got fucked up by
That's true.
Kaido.
He does like accidentally reforest all of one, like a bunch of Wano.
Yeah.
Um,
Um.
but I think Ryokugyu is an interesting character to me, uh, because it's this line here in what chapter is this? This is chapter 1054, where he says to like the samurai, the scabbards,
Mhm.
You know how things work outside of here. The celestial dragons are the gods of the world, and here in this country, unaffiliated with the government, you have no human rights. Don't blame me for it. It's how the world works.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting because Ryokugyu is a nature man or a
Mm-hmm.
woodsman, but he is literally nature personified.
Uh-huh.
And so I think it's interesting to have a character who I think misunderstands what the true nature of the world is,
Mm-hmm.
be the nature man. I think he's an interesting piece to tell us what the nature of the world is now, what the world government and what the celestial dragons have turned it into,
Mm-hmm.
and how that contrasts with what he is and what he represents in the true nature of the world and the beauty of nature. It is an interesting dichotomy, and I'm excited to see more of him, even though he sucks shit and I hate it.
Yeah, even though he is kind of the worst.
He's kind of the worst, but I think he has interesting things to say, and I think the story has interesting things to do with him, and I would like to see where
Mhm.
he goes.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
also would like to see him interact with Fujitora more because it's really
Hmm.
interesting that him and Fujitora seem to be like kind of chill with each other, and they seem like
Right.
polar opposites. This
Yeah, like it
doesn't
seems
this
like.
doesn't seem like the mentality that Fujitora has, but maybe I'm
Hmm.
giving Fujitora too much credit. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? But I mean, no, I mean, I definitely don't see Fujitora.
But
Well,
Fujitora was like conscripted to admiral. He didn't like choose it.
Fujitora was made admiral through a draft.
Yeah, and I don't know. Maybe my assumption is that maybe Ryokugyu was not drafted.
I'm not entirely sure.
I guess it's not clear. But I don't have too much to say about his fight with them,
Yeah.
other than I like that Momo doesn't want Yamato to fight.
Hmm.
I think is a cool moment. I'll come back to it in a minute. And in fact, he doesn't want. Yeah, I like that Momo is the one who is the one doing it. He's fighting. I think it's
Yeah.
cool that he's building that confidence, even if he's kind of getting his shit kicked in.
Hmm.
Um, and then we get to the red-haired pirates
Who are at sea near Wano?
who are at sea near Wano.
Why?
Why? Why are they
Why
here?
are they here?
Let's go see him, Captain. Luffy's a great pirate now. Haven't been here since we said farewell to Odin. I suppose Momo and Hiyori are all grown up now. Also, I like that Yasop doesn't want to go because he's not ready to see Usopp yet.
He's not ready to face
Hilarious.
his son.
Hilarious, but also once again ties back to that thing I said way back when. I don't know which. It was one of these parts.
Hmm.
I don't know if it was in Wano or before Wano. It might have been in Dressrosa where I talked about. I think that for Usopp to become a brave warrior of the sea, the bravest warrior of the sea, he needs to do the thing that Yasop can't, which is to go back to Syrup Village. And I think you see that here because even now, when Usopp is on a
Right.
crew of an emperor, Yasop is like, "Whoa, I don't know if I can. I'm not ready to see Usopp, guys. Like, I don't. He's like a little. He's a coward. He's not
Yeah.
brave enough to meet his son."
Right.
And I am excited to see Usopp be brave enough to return to see the kids from the Usopp Pirates and all that stuff.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And then we have Shanks looking fondly at the newspaper with Gear 5 Luffy in it.
Yeah. Hmm.
And we flash back to him attacking the ship, getting
The gum gum.
the gum gum
The
fruit.
not the gum gum. Not the gum gum fruit.
The not gum gum fruit, only a single gum fruit. What could that mean to them? It just turns you into rubber, right? Shanks fucking knew, right? Surely he fucking knew.
Surely, right?
You like I feel like he and is that why he sacrificed his arm? Cause he knew? I don't
I
know.
don't know.
I'm not
A lot
interested
of
in seeing
questions.
Luffy. What's happening in our territory now? Say Beck, I think it's time we make our move. Let's claim the One Piece. So
Huh?
this begs a question. Why the fuck is Shanks doing this now?
Now.
Why did he wait so long? And I have a few ideas.
Yeah.
My first is that the reason he didn't go before was because of Kaido and Big Mom. And now
Okay.
that Kaido and Big Mom are out of the picture, the Emperors are in flux. I don't think Shanks is worried about Buggy at all. And I think that he might still be doubting Luffy and not thinking that Luffy's ready, and that might be why he's not going to see Luffy yet.
Mhm.
Even though Luffy needs to come to him, I think, more importantly.
Yeah.
And so he thinks that in this moment of flux with the emperors is his time to strike
Right.
and to go after the One Piece. But I feel like that doesn't
I feel like
answer enough
I don't. I
questions.
just don't.
I
It
just,
doesn't feel like the perfect
it
answer.
doesn't feel like the perfect answer. I feel like Shanks is so mysterious and strange and question mark that doesn't feel like it explains Shanks's motivations. Because if that
Yeah.
was the only thing holding Shanks back, I don't think Shanks would have cared.
Yeah. Right.
So maybe he's doing it to force the other emperors to action.
Maybe.
Maybe he's trying to force Luffy to action, force Blackbeard to action. But even then, couldn't he have done that before?
Right. Ah.
I don't know. It's a lot of question marks. I don't know why he's going after the One Piece. But what I do think is going to happen, and what I do think is happening, is I
Mhm.
think there is one character on the sea who's been waiting for Shanks to do this,
Yeah.
and that's Blackbeard.
Uh-huh.
I think Blackbeard has been waiting for this exact moment.
I also think that.
He's been waiting for the emperors of the sea to be taken out, and he's been waiting
Mhm.
for another one to make the push
Mhm.
so that he can sweep in and take all the reward.
Right.
I don't know what exactly Blackbeard has planned, but I think he's got. I think that this from Shanks is part of Blackbeard's plan, is my thinking,
Right.
and that
Man.
whatever Blackbeard's got cooking has something to do with that. And then we get to the other part of the news
Yeah, there's more news, by the way.
where we learn the Flame Emperor Sabo, the hero of the entire world, has killed a descendant of the Celestial Dragons, Nefertari Cobra,
Uh-huh.
and that Vivi is missing. Hey, Oda, what the
Hey,
fuck?
Oda. Is she is she gone?
She's at least not been erased because people remember her. So
Yeah.
that's better than I was worried about, at least. So here's the question. Did Sabo kill Cobra? I think the answer is probably not.
Probably not.
But the question is why?
Uh-huh.
And there's a lot of questions about why. Because
Yeah.
at first I was like, what if they're framing Sabo? But I don't think that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Because if they were framing Sabo, it has backfired tremendously. Because he
Uh-huh.
is now, quote, the hero of the entire world. So I think if they were planning to frame Sabo for killing Cobra because Cobra was looking into stuff, then they fucked up royally. Because now
Right.
Sabo and the Revolution have way more wind behind their sails with Cobra dead. I'm not sure if Cobra's alive or not. That is a question I don't have an answer to. I
Uh-huh.
think my theory is that Cobra has worked with the Revolution to stage his death. Or
Interesting.
to, if not to stage it, to have them kill him to set this up.
Mm-hmm.
I think that whatever Cobra learned, because I think if Cobra was the target of the Revolution, why not also kill King Riku, who is presumably with him all the time? So I
Mm-hmm.
think that Cobra has faked his death or literally gotten himself killed for a couple reasons. One, to give the Revolution this push, because whatever he found out has pushed him fully against the Celestial Dragons.
Mm-hmm.
Two, I think it's to protect Vivi.
Right.
And I think that's why Vivi's missing. Because I think if my hope is that she's with Sabo right now.
Right.
Because I think if Sabo kills Cobra and then Vivi goes back to Alabasta, she's in like the worst position ever, right? Like the
Right.
Celestial Dragons are peering down her neck. She's a target of Emu, presumably.
Mm-hmm.
And also the whole world is now against her because she's another heir of the Celestial Dragons bullshit, right?
Yeah.
So my thinking is that maybe Cobra has staged his death and made her go missing to make it so that she can be hiding from the world government while Sabo is the face of their anger.
Mm-hmm.
Whether or not that involves Sabo literally killing Cobra, or if I mean, maybe Sabo's not the one that killed him, but whether or not it involved Cobra literally dying or not is a question I don't have an answer to.
I mean,
But
we do know that Cobra's health had been declining.
that's true. So it's possible that maybe he just died of his
Yeah.
sickness and had Sabo pretend to be the one that killed him.
hmm
But I think that this is a setup by Sabo and Cobra
hmm
to get this news out to the world, to strengthen the
Right.
revolution, probably protect Vivi, and maybe do something else that we don't know about.
hmm
The question is how this news got out. The answer is probably Morgan,
Yeah.
because I imagine if the story turns Sabo into the hero of the entire world, the elders probably wouldn't have wanted that to come out.
Probably not.
So, and then we also learn that they fought Fujitora and Ryokugu, which we knew, but they got Bartholomew Kuma free, and they escaped.
Yes.
So they're not dead. We do. I guess we know now that Qualla's like, "What the fuck, Sabo? Why did you kill him?" The disappearance of Princess Vivi, which happened at the same time as Cobra's murder. So I'm thinking that Cobra staged his death, and that Sabo took Vivi with him to protect her.
Uh-huh.
Is my hope, and that she has not been erased from the universe. Please, 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 let her be safe. Let her be safe. Let her be safe. Um, but they're investigating that matter. Yeah, the Eight Nation Revolution, which fucking I don't know what that is that's going on. And then there was an attempted murder on Saint Charlos.
hmm
It's just so many questions. The world is beginning to worship him. He's like some kind of god,
Oh God, oh God.
the Flame Emperor. And his brother is Straw Hat Luffy, now an Emperor of the Sea. And also we get the iconic panel of Akainu.
Yeah, yeah.
The iconic panel of Akainu. I have seen this panel like every month since this chapter dropped, probably
I
with
love this
with
bit.
with edited
Damn.
text. Damn, that guy got hands. I gotta keep my ass in this office. Which is not at all what he says
That's
here.
not what he says at all, but it's so
But it's really funny. I love this panel because of the meme. Um and then we just keep moving. But I
There's still
love
more.
there's still more. There's still a decent bit more too. There's like 3 or 4 more chapters, but I love now we're
Uh-huh.
back to Momo with Yamato.
Mhm.
Why can't I find him? You must not strike him. Don't you dare strike him. Ugh, I love it.
Uh-huh.
This fight is really cool. And then we get to another big fucking reveal as
Yep.
Robin and Law follow the Kozuki Sukiyaki down onto the palace to see. I never told Orochi about this route. Jack found it.
hmm
Why would a fisherman make it easy to spot? How far does this
Mhm.
go? And they get down here several centuries into the past. It's Wano at the bottom of the sea. What the fuck do you mean? That is Wano about 800 years ago, a different Wano. Whatever happened in the past is unclear to me. The fact that it is not seawater probably explains its good preservation. What do you mean it's not seawater? At some point, the Great Walls grew around the island and filled up with rainwater. I guess that's rainwater. But the walls formed up, and this part of Wano just flooded and got completely submerged. And now we're living at
Yeah.
like the top of the mountain.
Uh-huh. Huh?
What the fuck?
I-
And there's the road poneglyph down here.
Uh-huh.
But we also have, there it is, the third. More we'll be able to get to Laugh Tale. We're now the high up in the caves at the foot of Fuji, is the farthest down into the earth, where the ancient weapon Pluton is said to rest. I have never seen it for myself, and I cannot show it to you now. In order to retrieve Pluton, the walls will need to be torn down.
Uh
In other words, opening the borders means destroying the natural defenses and unleashing an ancient weapon onto the world. What do you fucking mean?
what are you talking about, Ichiro Oda?
What are you talking about, Eiichi Oda? So this
Huh?
raises a lot of questions about what the fuck are the weapons, right?
Yeah.
Because the Pluton is in Wano, underwater, presumably in the depths of the earth,
Uh-huh.
but also there are blueprints for it
Right.
that Frankie had.
Mm-hmm.
So, previously I had stated my theory that I think there is a person, there is some sort of animal, and some sort of ship, right?
Uh-huh.
So I am thinking that whatever is here in Wano is the animal.
Okay.
That's my guess. Is that the animal part of the Pluton is here?
Interesting.
Because I don't know. Part of me still is of the belief that the Sunny is the Pluton ship
Mm-hmm.
because Frankie had the blueprints and probably memorized them.
Yeah.
So I think it's a non-zero that he could have used those blueprints to build the Sunny, right?
Right.
Um, and then Luffy is Joy Boy and he is the person. So that we need to
Mm-hmm.
come back to Wano and we need to open the borders for Joy Boy, right? To
Yeah.
signal Joy Boy's return. So if we have to open the borders for Joy Boy's return, then surely if we've got Joy Boy and we've got his ship, then the thing that's in Wano that you need to open the borders for is the last part of Joy Boy's weapon, which is whatever creature is under Wano, I'm presuming is an animal, that powers the Pluton.
Interesting.
And so then Zunaisha must be Uranus, and then Momo must be the person,
Uh-huh.
and there's got to be some sort of ship for Momo. I don't know what that's going to be. And then at the bottom of the sea, we have Shirahoshi and the Noah and the Sea Kings.
Uh-huh.
Is my theory. That's my guess.
Right.
Um, but it is this it there being the Pluton
Mm-hmm.
here is confusing because it makes it seem like it's one thing, and maybe it is one thing.
Who knows? Maybe I do.
I think there's no shot, I think there's no way that that has been revealed. What were you thinking at this point when you got here? Do you remember what was
So I
going on?
wasn't thinking as deeply about this as you are. I was just like, oh, so the boat's down here.
Uh, I mean, it could be.
It could just be that the boat's down
It
here.
could just be the fucking boat's down here, and it's been there for 800 fucking years, and the Sunny's not the Pluton. Which I'm. It's possible the Sunny isn't the Pluton. I just think that
I just
why
think it's
Frankie.
cool.
And Robin
Yeah.
tells Frankie too at the end of this. She's like, "By the way, the Pluton's here," and he's like, "Oh shit."
Yeah.
So like, what the fuck does
hmm
Frankie? What? Because you gotta remember, Frankie knows what the Pluton is.
Yeah, exactly. He's
He
read
hasn't.
it. He's read the
He
blueprints.
hasn't told it to us. Hey Frankie, can you tell me? I won't tell
Tell
anybody
me.
else. Tell me,
I
Frankie.
promise. I will
Let
keep it a
me know. I
secret
will
from
keep it a
everyone
secret,
else.
Frankie. I don't have. Yeah. And then we get to finally this moment that I keep saying I love that I wanted to talk about with Momo,
Yes.
where he doesn't want to let Yamato fight. You proper send off Luffy, Zoro, and the rest. I've had them fighting my battles for me all this time. We're the ones who will stay behind in our country. We must be able to drive off any enemy. If we must ask for help from those who are about to leave, then we will never be able to protect Wano.
hmm
And then he screams, "Begone!" and shoots a giant ass fucking laser through Ryokugyu.
Hell yeah. Finally gets a blast breath off.
Yeah. And I love that Momo is so certain that Yamato is going with the Straw Hats.
Right.
That he doesn't want him to fight their battles for them.
hmm
I love that after he gets completely fucking obliterated, a small little sprout pops up and grows back into his whole body. I think it's funny.
Yeah, right.
Um,
And then
and then he gets blasted by Conqueror's Hockey from
Shanks,
Shanks,
who is at sea right
who's
now.
at sea right now, a ways a fucking way. Capping easy with the sudden hockey. The new guys are foaming at the mouth. Accusing you of fighting
How
dirty Navy
fucking
man.
ridiculous is
How
Shanks'
ridiculous is
hockey?
Shanks' hockey? He is akin to Roger because like Roger was notable for not having a fruit, right? He was so
Mhm.
strong even without it. He was able to
Right.
compete and be stronger than, you know,
Hmm.
Newgate and Kaido and Big Mom.
Right.
And now we have Shanks, who is the only one without hockey, against Nika,
Or the one without a
and
fruit.
without a fruit against Nika and the Dark plus Quake fruits, and also the Chop fruit,
And also the Chop Chop Man.
the Chop man,
The Genius
the
Jester.
genius Jester, Buggy the Clown,
Buggy D Clown.
Buggy D Clown. So like, what the fuck? How strong is Shanks, man? And
Crazy.
he talks to him too, and it's unclear whether or not
Yeah.
Ryukiku can hear this.
I don't know.
I'm not accusing you of fighting dirty, Navy man, but when the news shoots that just changed pirating history are exhausted from their feet, don't you think you're doing a bit much? Are you that afraid of the new era?
Oh
Oh my
man.
god, it's so awesome. And
God.
he's talking that shit to him from like all the way in the ocean.
Yeah.
And
He's keeping his ass in that
and
office.
he says, "I'm not picking a fight with you guys." To like, holy shit, he's like terrified of him.
I love
And
this panel too.
I love this whole page.
This whole page.
This whole page is fucking awesome, with like Brooke and Chopper and Frankie enjoying the party, and like party and Usopp partying with
Hmm.
everybody, and you know, Brooke playing music along with Hiyori, and then Luffy and Sanji and Zoro and Jinbei watching Momo the whole time.
Watching the whole time, just in case they needed to step in.
Yeah.
But then being
Yeah.
like, nah, he's got this.
All I was about to say all of them. Jinbei's fine, I guess, but the three of them beat to shit.
Yeah.
Oh, we don't get to fight? Not bad, Momo, not bad. Some monstrous hockey being thrown around. Yeah, what was that? Made me think of a familiar face, he
Man.
says with a giant smile. Ah,
Oh man.
please
I
let him
love this.
see Shanks before Shanks dies, please.
Please.
Please, I know Shanks is gonna die, but you gotta let Luffy see him at least once before then, please.
Oh my
Please, I
god.
cannot have Luffy's reunion with Shanks being him putting the straw hat on Shanks' fucking grave. I can't do it. Please, please, Oda, please,
I
please,
can't
please.
handle it.
Okay, final volume. There's not a lot left.
All right, we're almost done, guys. I'm sorry this is
Um,
taking so long.
this is a long section. I mean, you know, we're for considering how long this section is, our time is not doing too bad, but
Yeah.
it's going to be the longest one yet. Then we get Carrot, who is appointed to the King of Mokumo Dukedom.
Mm-hmm.
Good for her. She is not joining the
Hell
crew.
yeah.
I'm so sorry, Carrot believers. It's not happening. I just don't think
It's
it's
just
going to
not
happen.
happening.
I think there is so much there for so many characters, and Carrot just doesn't have it. I don't think. When she's competing with Vivi and Yamato, I just don't think she has a shot. I'm so sorry.
Right.
But I love that she's off to be a leader of Zoe. I think that's great.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited for her. I also love a final moment of Kinemon being pretending to be smart, where everybody else is
God,
like, it had to be him. Who else would wear a Tengu mask? And Kinemon's like, he was Lord Sukiyaki the whole time? I had no idea. I thought he was dead.
God, what a dumbass.
He's so stupid. I love Kinemon. And then him being like, oh yes, of course, I knew you were alive. Oh, it's so great. Yeah, Pluton is in this country. Can't believe that thing actually exists. Also interesting that Frankie, who had blueprints, calls it a thing.
Uh-huh.
It's not a ship. It's a thing. I don't know. Very interesting. The one which bears the name of a god. Do you want it, Luffy? Nah, I'm good.
Nah, don't worry about it.
Why did
I don't
Odin
need
want
that
to
shit.
unleash such a thing? And then fucking Caribou shows up for a panel.
My
I
goat?
swear to God, if this fucking guy
Not my
keeps being
goat.
important again, I'm so sick of him. But
Not
now
my
he
goat.
fucking knows that the Pluton is here. I gotta let a certain someone know about this. Who the fuck is he gonna blab this shit to?
What's he talking? Oh, come on.
Which there's so many people he could blab this to, and I don't want him to blab it to any of them.
Any of them.
Ugh, I hate him. I'm so sick of him. And then we have this moment that is really sad a little bit, where Momo comes in and they're all gone.
Oh man.
Chop, Nami, Usopp, Sanji, Chopper, Robin, Frankie, Brooke, Jinbei, Yamato. Where is everyone? And they've already left. Said their goodbyes to everybody except for Momo and Kinemon.
Uh-huh.
I don't know why they didn't say their goodbyes to Kinemon, but
Yeah.
and then we cut back to the worst generation with my favorite trio. I love these three.
Yeah.
Arguing about which way each one of them gets to go, which is so funny.
It's just so
Um,
adorable. I love these
and
guys.
I love
Their
that
whole dynamic is so
the three of
is
them are
so
so
fun.
funny. I really hope we get more of Kid because I love these three, and I
Hmm.
love that that Luffy and Kid are stupid and they want the middle one because it takes them to the middle. And
Yeah.
Law's like, I'm gonna go northeast because that's the closest to the end of the fucking islands. And then Luffy doesn't even get that, so he has to go the farthest away. Oh
Uh-huh.
no, we have to go even farther for our journey. What a shame.
Oh no.
The one who really makes me mad is him, the genius jester Buggy.
Cross Guild.
What the fuck is this? I mean, yes, it's putting bounties on Marines, right?
Yeah.
Why the fuck are Crocodile and Mihawk working with Buggy?
Well, they were all warlords.
That's true. Like, part of me is thinking, what if Buggy has just gathered up all the warlords and that's why he's an emperor because he's got all of them on his side and so
Hmm.
collectively they are a big enough deal? But, like, obviously he doesn't have Dofi because Dofi's in
Yeah.
prison.
Dude,
Um,
imagine the arc where Buggy breaks back into Impel Down to
Down to
get
get
Doflamingo.
Doflamingo, please. Oh my god.
That I am that is I'll say that hasn't happened yet, but I so want this to happen so badly.
Um, I don't think Boa would work with Buggy because I think she has standards.
Yeah.
But why? Like, I'm just trying to think. Why are Crocodile and Mihawk wanting to work with Buggy?
Even willing to work with Buggy the Clown at all.
I mean, I guess Crocodile has worked with Buggy in the past in Impel Down,
Yeah,
right?
I
But
guess.
I don't think Crocodile
But
was
Mihawk,
necessarily impressed with Buggy, and neither was Mihawk. So I feel like
but
they maybe have some ulterior motive to
uh-huh.
work with Buggy, or like they're using Buggy as a figurehead, so all the heat goes onto him and not onto them.
Hmm.
But I wonder who else is a part of this cross guild, because surely it's not just Crocodile and Mihawk, right?
Right.
I mean, if that was it, I don't think that would be enough for Emperor status. I mean, Mihawk is a big deal, but Crocodile
I'm sure that they've got Kabuji and Moji
is true. And
and
Mr. 1.
Alvita.
They have Mr. 3 as well.
Yeah, Mr. 1, Mr. 3. It's
I don't
like
know.
getting Baroque works back
It's like
together.
getting Baroque Works back together. They wish they were cool enough to get Mr. 2 back with them, though.
Yeah, they
Um,
wish. He's still in Impel
Clay,
Down
yeah,
though.
he's
We
Clay's too
we gotta
busy
go
being
back to Impel
down
Down.
so we can get
We
Mr.
gotta kick him
2.
out.
Yes! Please, Clay, come back, please. Show me the Okama way, please, goat.
Please.
Um, what the fuck is Buggy up to?
He's Buggy the clowning.
Yeah, why are they shown like they're Buggy's followers? It's not impossible, not for Hawkeyes. I don't know if I agree with Law's statement. If he's got 2 men of their statue working for him, he deserves to be called an emperor. Really? I don't
I
know.
mean,
I
I don't
mean,
know.
Mihawk is a big deal, but Crocodile? I mean, not to diss Crocodile. I love Crocodile. But
Crocodile's fun.
is Crocodile hot shit anymore?
Crocodile's been doing his thing. He got back on his horse.
Maybe he's hot shit again after 2 years, but like he got beat by Luffy before Gear
I mean,
2.
he was hanging with people in Marineford.
That's true, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just doubting Crocodile. But
Yeah.
I don't think that like you're telling me that Crocodile and Mihawk and Buggy is enough to push to Emperor status, but not taking out Big Mom? I don't know. And maybe it's the world government's trying to like downplay shit, but then they're not the ones control of this, right? Morgan's is.
Yeah, Morgan's is the one who
So
calls people emperor.
Morgan's thinks that Buggy is a big enough deal, which is really interesting. Um and then you have this line from Kid that's really interesting to me, and I don't know anything about.
Yeah.
Um, we're gonna have to put all of our strength into this task if we want to take part in the all-out war over the One Piece. What, you mean finding the man with the burn scar? That's not enough to go on. Huh? Burn scar? What do you mean?
Why does Law's face look like
Why
that,
does
huh?
Law's face look like that? Why does Robin not look confused? There's a question mark, but she doesn't look surprised to me.
Yeah.
She looks like sad. What the fuck is the man with
Who
the
is the
burn
man with
scar?
the burn
I
scar?
am guessing that maybe Robin has read about this already in one of the poneglyphs and just hasn't said anything.
Maybe.
Why does Law look like that? Law looks really fucked up.
Yeah.
Who is the man with the burn scar? Luffy has a burn scar right on his fucking chest. The X marks the goddamn spot that I'm so obsessed with.
You know who
What if
else has a burn scar?
who has a burn scar?
Sabo.
That's true. Sabo does have a burn scar. Is Sabo the man with the burn scar?
I don't think so,
Finding the
but
man with the
maybe.
burn scar. What does that mean, man? And how is that important to anything? It's so little to go off of. I agree with Kid, that's not enough to go on. But like clearly it is eliciting strong emotion from Law.
It means something.
Unless Law is looking like that because he's like sad that he hasn't like he's conflicted because he hasn't told the Straw Hats, but like we're enemies now, so I can't tell them.
Maybe, I don't know.
But then like Robin's response is so strange, and maybe I'm gonna learn
Yeah.
about this soon, and like Robin's gonna explain it at the start of the next section or something. But I don't know, man. Part of me thinks it could be Luffy, but like we haven't met people with burn scars other than Luffy. And like the reason I'm thinking it's maybe
Yeah.
Luffy is like, what if the poneglyphs are saying you need to find Joy Boy? And if Joy Boy is the man with the burn scar, and Luffy is Joy Boy, so he has the burn scar.
Mhm.
But if that was the case, I feel like Kid would know, or he would at least be thinking that Luffy is the man with the burn scar. So maybe there's more to it than that,
Mhm.
than just the burn scar.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know.
Who knows?
And then Momo and Kinemon find Yamato on the roof because he's
Yeah.
made up his mind. He's going with Luffy and crew because he's going to live the way Kozuki Oden did. Then we get to 1057, our final chapter, the end. I
Mhm.
believe this is the final chapter. Um, as we get, I love this Momo as he's desperately trying to find Luffy before Luffy leaves, flashing back to all these moments with Luffy
Mhm.
is so sweet. Um, and I'm going to talk about this here because I think this is the moment to talk about it. One of my notes says Luffy or not Luffy, Momo as the reader.
Yeah.
And previously I had talked about Yamato as the reader, which I still hold to. I think in that section
Mhm.
makes a lot of sense. But to me here, Momo comes off as the reader in the sense that imagine somebody who has been reading One Piece since the start
Mhm.
for over 20 years. And in that amount of time, so much has to change. And you look at Momo, who has jumped 20 years into the future and now has to
Right.
be this grown up, has to be this adult. But when he's around Luffy, he can act like a kid.
Mhm.
And I think there is something to that as an
Yeah.
allegory for the reader, for people who have followed Luffy for 20 plus years, can still be childish, can still feel joy when he's around. And I think it's beautiful. This story is so
Yeah.
fucking good. Um, but I love this whole moment with Luffy and Momo and Yamato is just great.
Mhm.
And the way that just fucking I love Momo, man. I don't want
Yeah.
to say goodbye. It was all because of you that I survived. It was all because of you I was able to laugh and smile. You avenged my father and my mother. I'm too stupid. I don't have the words to express my feelings, but I'm scared of what's ahead. Please don't go. Usopp. Got it right here.
Oh man.
Oh, we were gonna give you
I'm
that.
not.
Some shogun you are, Momo. Might be bigger now, but we know who you are inside. You're an idiot and a coward and a weakling. But I think of you like a little brother. It's a flag. When times are hard, just remember our adventures at sea. Fly this flag over Wano. If anyone shows up causing trouble, let them see it. They'll know that if anyone messes with my crew, they're picking a fight with us.
Dude.
You'd call me one of you? Ugh. Ugh. And
Man.
he calls them by their names.
Mhm.
Kinemon, Yamato, Momo. And Luffy doesn't call people by their names. Not normally.
Right.
Not unless
They're part of his
they're
not a
part of
part
his
they're part of
crew.
his crew.
Ugh. This is also, I think, is worth noting. I think he's said Kinemon and Momo before, but this is the first time he's calling Yamato by his name.
Right. Yeah.
Before he called him Yamao and not
Hmm.
Yamato. If you ever want to be pirates, just say the word and we'll come right along and pick you up. But we don't let weaklings on the ship. Watch out for him, Yamato. Set sail. Ugh, I just fucking love it. I just fucking love it so much.
It's God, it's so good.
It's cinema. Cinema, cinema, cinema.
Cinema, cinema, cinema.
And I also think that this moment for
Excuse
me,
me.
I think is we get it. Where is it? Is it here? I guess it's not here. It's. Oh, I guess it's not a thing I even conceptualized. But like, I guess we have Yamato's plan is to. I'm not ready to go out to sea because I need to live as Odin did, and that means exploring Wano first.
Right.
So my conception, my hope and seed is that Yamato needs to go around Wano to be like Kozuki Oden and then join the King of the Pirates for his final voyage
Yeah.
as a member of the crew, just like Kozuki Oden did. And technically, per Luffy's own words,
Hmm.
Kinemon and Yamato and Momo are crew, right?
Yeah.
But I think that Yamato will join the crew, my hope, for the
Hmm.
final voyage for the last stretch.
Uh-huh.
Because I want him on the crew.
Okay. I need you to explain to me what you mean by this last point you have.
Oh, the Forbidden Theory. Do you want to get into it now?
I mean, we're pretty much done, aren't we?
Yeah. Is there anything else I want to say about the end of Wano? We already talked about that part. No, yeah, we're at the end. Okay, so let's go through. Are there any things in my notes that I haven't talked about other than the Forbidden Theory that I have? Let's
Um,
see. Buggy, Sabo, Shanks King. I think I've talked about all
no,
of
I
this.
think that's it.
Okay, so I have one last thing
Yeah.
that is what I'm calling the Forbidden Theory. And so this started from me thinking about Kuzan.
Uh-huh.
And I started thinking about, because I mentioned this before, about how I still think it's strange that Kuzan would go from an admiral of the Marines and be opposed to a Kainu, and that his solution after that is to join fucking Blackbeard, right?
Uh-huh.
It just seems strange to me. I don't buy that still.
Hmm.
So part of me is wondering, what if Kuzan is a traitor?
Ooh.
What if he is a spy? What if the falling out with a Kainu is like a front
Like
to
like a
to
publicity
like
stunt.
a publicity stunt to sneak an admiral into the Blackbeard pirates?
Interesting.
And that got me thinking when I came to that idea, that got me thinking about something I saw a few months ago before time skip when I saw a
Uh-huh.
video on YouTube titled something along the lines of like, and take this with a grain of salt because I don't know if this is real, dear viewers. So this is not like spoilers or anything. I don't know if this is real, and I'm not inclined to believe that it's real. But it is a
Hmm.
video titled like all scenes or all evidence um showing the Straw Hat Traitor is what it said.
Oh.
And so when I came to this idea that Kuzan maybe is a traitor, that video for the first time in like 3 or 4 months popped back into my head. And I thought to
Hmm.
myself, if Kuzan's a traitor, what if we have a traitor? What if the 11th Straw Hat, what if we need an 11th not because we need 10, but we already have 10, but because one of the 10 we have is not really a, a crew member? What if they are evil or a traitor in some way?
Hmm.
And I don't like that theory.
I
And
don't like that theory
I don't
either.
like that theory at all because I don't like doubting any member of the Straw Hats. And I'd like to make it clear that I don't think this theory will happen. I am not of the belief that
Okay.
it's happening, but it is a thought that came to me and I feel needs to mention that I've been thinking about it because I want
Uh-huh.
to chronicle all my thoughts on this series as I'm going through. And this is a thought that it came to me and feels important to talk about. So
Mhm.
then that got me to the question of who, because
Uh,
if there's a traitor, there's got to be one, right? If there's got to be
uh-huh.
somebody, and there is a chance it could be whoever this 11th is that I'm theorizing about. But if it's this 11th I'm theorizing about, that makes it either Vivi, no shot,
Mm.
Yamato, probably no
No
shot,
shot.
um, Kobe,
Kobe?
maybe he is a Marine, but I feel like Kobe has a sense of justice that would not let him do that. I don't think, but
Mhm.
it's a possibility since I had thought about him as our counterpart to Kuzan.
Right.
And then I guess what Carrot, and I don't think Carrot's joining the crew, so that
No.
leaves the crew we already have,
Mhm.
and it can't be Luffy. I don't think it can be either of the wings.
No.
And that got me thinking about characters who have said and had a moment where they claim that Luffy will be king of the pirates. You look at Alabasta,
Mhm.
that takes out Usopp. You look at
Yeah.
Wano, takes out Nami. You look at Whole Cake, takes out Jinbei. You look at Return to Sabaody, you take out Brook. You look at
Uh-huh.
Punk Hazard, you take out Chopper.
Yeah.
Uh, and then you look at Wano again, you take out Robin. And that
Mhm.
leaves you with one crew member left. The one that I can't wrap my head around. The one that continues to confuse me. The one that seems like he's going nowhere. The one that I feel like I'm missing something. And I don't want to call Frankie the traitor, because I like Frankie a lot. But what if Frankie is. What if Frankie got fucky wucky over 2 years when he reshaped his body? What if there's something fucky in the Vegapunk research? I don't know, man. I don't have any concrete
I mean,
ideas.
what if?
I don't have
I
any
just don't
concrete
like it.
ideas. I don't like it. I don't like these thoughts. I think they're bad, and I don't think it's true. And I think that if somebody like Frankie were to betray the crew, it would destroy me forever. And he's like my least favorite member of the crew. And I don't want. And this is what I meant when I said way back when we were talking about Usopp at like 30 minutes in, and now we're 3 hours in. That I
Mhm.
don't hate Frankie. All right, I'm not saying this because I don't like Frankie. I'm just saying that every other member of the crew has had a big moment where they call Luffy the king of the pirates, except for
Right.
Frankie. The closest thing Frankie
Mm.
has, there's two moments. I did my research earlier today. There's two moments that
Mhm.
Frankie has. There is the moment in Water 7 in Post Enies lobby when
Mhm.
Iceberg reads his letter, but that is not really calling Luffy the king of the pirates. That letter is more so saying, if you're going to be king of the pirates, you need the best ship in the world, and that's this one.
Mhm.
And I don't think that's the same thing as like
An
Nami's
actual
moment in Wano
declaration.
or like Sanji in like Whole Cake, right?
Yeah.
It's not the same thing. And the other is in Wano, there's a moment where Nami has she's like, "Oh shit, Big Mom's here. That's an emperor." And I think
Mhm.
Frankie says something along the lines of, "Don't you know who we are? We're the crew of the future king of the pirates."
Uh-huh.
But that's still not the same kind of
Not exactly
declaration.
the same
It's
thing.
not the same thing. And it is similar to what Jinbei says, but it's not even the same thing that Jinbei says. Because
Mhm.
Jinbei's like, if I am to be a crew member of the future King of the Pirates, then I like he has Jinbei's wording is slightly different and is a little more
Mhm.
overt about calling Luffy the King of the Pirates than
Right.
Frankie's is. So moral of the story is I do not think Frankie is the traitor, and I don't think there's a traitor. I don't believe it. I don't want to believe it. I don't think it can happen. There's no way.
It can't happen.
If Oda has been planting thoughts of a traitor for 2 decades, God fucking damn it. All right, that's my thoughts. But if there's even an inkling of a traitor, I think if it's anybody, it's Frankie.
If it's anybody, it's Frankie.
And I don't like it, but that's my thoughts. That's my forbidden theory is that there is a traitor and that it's Frankie. And
No.
I don't like the theory. I will not be detailing it further.
Disagree.
I disagree with it too. I don't like it, but it's where my head's at.
Uh-huh.
So there's that.
That
That's my forbidden theory.
all right. Well, with that,
With that, if you've stayed to 3 hours, if you hated what I just said about Frankie because he's your favorite, hit the subscribe button. I'm so sorry. I love Frankie.
yeah,
Okay,
leave a
comment,
comment about how stupid Lad's being right now.
comment about how stupid I am and how there's no traitor and how that definitely doesn't happen in Egghead or something. Okay, I mean, what? What's Egghead? I don't know what that is.
We don't know about Egghead.
Yeah, anyways, like, subscribe the video. If you've made it to the end of 3 hours and 8 minutes, you probably like
Yeah, you
this.
come on, you definitely liked
You
it.
should like it. You should subscribe it. You should leave a comment. If it makes Misfit cry, we'll put a heart. Do all the YouTube
Uh-huh.
stuff.
Look, if you insult Lad about his dumb Frankie theory, I'll also leave a heart on this one. Just this video though.
Please do. I'll leave a heart on it myself. Because I hate the theory too. It's the forbidden theory for a reason. I don't believe it's
Yeah.
true, but it was a thought process that I had and I wanted it to be chronicled.
All right.
With
Well,
all that said, thank you so much for sitting through
thank
this,
you so much
and cheers.
and cheers.